All right, fam. It's time. Time to rock and roll. Time to rock and roll. You know it is. You know how I be. Rocking and rolling, that's how I be. How's everybody doing? Everybody rocking and rolling? Oh, Jesus. Hopefully you're doing good. I'm realizing I'm a can hoarder. I'm not even joking. I don't throw them away until it's too late. Look at this. I have a problem. Like, this is, to be fair, over like a week. I just don't throw them away until like they've accumulated into a pile. So I have no one to blame but myself. Okay, I'm just gonna move these into the trash. Right here. Okay. Don't mind me. This is a housekeeping stream. It's kind of like ASMR, but it's more productive. It's like a whole thing. Okay. So I think firstly, because there's going to be 1,000 people asking about it, we have to just talk about Palworld. Because when we finished streaming on Friday, this wasn't really a point of conversation. And now it is, which is part of the thing. So I guess new segment, Jacob. And this can be part of the meta new segment where I'm saying new segment within the segment. It's a whole thing. So if somehow you've missed it, Palworld is like the way people have described it is Pokemon with guns. I think that can be a fair way of describing it, but this was basically a game that just exploded out of nowhere, seemingly nowhere. Share screen, okay. And you go around, you collect all these little pals. It's very Pokemon-y for sure. I mean, there's no doubt there. I don't think anybody's gonna be shocked at that revelation. And interestingly though, it's not like your classical Pokemon game, which a lot of people are comparing it to. It actually is much closer to like Arc, whatever, Survive, Evolved, whatever the hell. It's technically a survival game, like a survival crafting game. And what's kind of novel about it and interesting is that you can fight these things with your pals helping you, but you also have like bases that you build, and some of the pals have different abilities that maybe make them really good at mining or logging or crafting various things. So you can assign them to your base to work for you. So you're collecting them for combat and then also for like helping you within your base. It's kind of a cool amalgamation of a bunch of different things all together. A lot of people have said that it's like a blending of Pokemon with Arc mixed with Breath of the Wild, mixed with a couple of other things, and it works quite well. Now, it's still early access. It's pretty heavy early access. There's clunky animations, there's the occasional bugs or crashes. There are some finicky things going on. But all told, people are having an absolute blast with it, okay? This is kind of the crucial part of the conversation, okay, is that people are having a hell of a time with it. As you can see here, Michael just tweeted this out this morning. What's he doing up at 5 a.m.? I know he's probably on the East Coast, I think, so he's probably like 7 a.m. Still, that's crazy. YouTubers usually wake up at like noon, so it's just weird to see a YouTuber up like when the sunlight's rising. But with this, 1.4 million concurrent players on Steam and surpassed 5 million copies sold in 3 days. Bear in mind, this is available on Xbox as well, not on PlayStation, because PlayStation does not allow early access games, evidently. So it's a sort of de facto console exclusive to Xbox until it's completed, which is also crazy. So you can get this. I think it's, am I wrong? Is it on Game Pass? I think it's on Game Pass, isn't it? It's a pretty big get. Just kind of a surprising get. Yeah, they didn't even pay for it to be exclusive, is my understanding. It's just because PlayStation doesn't allow. Yeah, it's on Game Pass. Okay. The main reason it's not on PlayStation is because they don't allow early access stuff, which is very funny. So, oops. Oops. That's a bit of an oopsie. To put it into perspective, with these stats, it's sold 5 million copies in 3 days. There's a couple of things to note about this. Some people are like, well, see, that beats out even like Starfield on Steam. Well, okay. It's $27. Okay. Starfield was priced at full price. Okay. It's not really fair to compare the two because one is less than half the cost. Okay. So of course the cheaper thing, it has the potential to sell more units. It's still wildly impressive. Don't get me wrong, but we have to be accurate about that. There was also some misunderstanding. Somebody said that they broke like the all-time records for most concurrent players on Steam for a non-free-to-play game. That's not technically true. I don't think there was another game that reached like 3 million plus concurrent players a handful of years ago. So it's not technically there. It's still fantastically impressive, but it's not quite there. But all told, very, very impressive. Very, very impressive. Did you see Suicide Squad Reddit? They weren't happy with your video. Oh, I believe it. I didn't see the Reddit because if you want to maintain sanity, you don't look at that. You never go to Reddit. But I believe it. I believe it. Shocker. Like the hardcore like fans didn't like my video calling the latest thing a marketing oopsie poopsie, but it just, I mean, it is what it is. I stand by what I said and my stance in that video, and I think like it has, I haven't checked it, maybe I should. Maybe I'm just like being mass downvoted and I don't even know it. Yeah, like well over 95% of people are agreeing and liking the video, which for a controversial take, 95% upvote ratio is pretty good. That's pretty good. Like my video on The Last of Us Part 2 saying it had good and bad elements has like a worse like to dislike ratio than that. So I don't think I'm going out on too much of a limb here. Anyway, with all that said, back to Palworld, it's a fantastically successful game. And I think that there's some conflicting reasons for this. You know, of course, if anybody could figure out exactly why this was successful, everybody would just do that thing. And then everybody would have games that are making millions and millions and millions of dollars. So it's not as simple as just, here's why it's successful. Because if you knew it, then you'd be able to do it too. There's a lot of kind of macro movements going on right now. It's sort of a slow period in the gaming industry right now at this particular moment. People are looking for something to play, something exciting and different. The sub-communities within like the Ark kind of survivalist game and crafting games, there's sort of a lull there in that subgenre of gaming. So they were looking for something new and fun and exciting. Like, the other thing is Pokemon fans are freaking pissed off because they've gotten a bunch of piles of garbage for the last handful of years. Every time that they get a new game, they just don't get really the chance to experience a quality polished title, which is crazy because Nintendo has a reputation for releasing really high quality polished stuff, except for Pokemon games. The last few have just been steadily decreasing in quality. This last one kind of rapidly decreasing in quality. So I think it's a combination of boredom, people looking for something new to play, and then also the core group of Pokemon fans that are just kind of looking to shove it to Nintendo for screwing them over consistently and selling them piles of slop because they can and people will still buy it. Which is the most disheartening thing, is that the latest Pokemon releases, I guess, they had horrible technical issues and was just totally broken and embarrassingly bad. And they still sold millions upon millions upon millions of copies. So people are sort of revolting by supporting this. That's part of it. And I don't think you should overlook that. However, at the same time, on Twitter, which should immediately disqualify most of this, on Twitter, there's some people that are very upset about Palworld. Now, initially, I understand the concerns, okay? The concerns are that the CEO of the company that made Palworld, or is making Palworld, he has a history of interest and support for AI and AI generation within game development. He has expressed previously that, you know, he worked with Nintendo through like some Nintendo training program or something like that. And he basically just said, I respect Nintendo a lot, but they try to do something totally unique and novel every single time they come out with a new IP. And he said, I don't really think that that's necessarily the best way of doing things. I think if there's a handful of games doing things in an interesting way, we should be able to bring them together and kind of create this this sort of gumbo of fun of, oh, I took a little piece of this game, I took a little piece of that game, a little piece of this game, and we combine them into a new recipe. Yes, it's just potatoes and sausage and maybe chicken, but when you combine those things together, it creates something bigger than the sum of their parts. So initially people look at that and they say, oh, he supports AI art and AI, generative AI and things like that, and therefore it's bad and you shouldn't support it. I don't think that really follows through, though. For one, there are already protections in place. Within Steam, if you're found to be using generative AI in the context of like basically just using generative AI to create art for your game and not doing it through proper channels to like pay licensing fees to the artists that it was trained on, all that stuff, Steam can already unlist your game and screw you over just like that. So there are already protections in place through Steam. You have to disclose all of that stuff. Everything has to be made very, very clear. Now, it's possible that that stuff was used in Palworld and they could get in trouble, but as of right now, nothing's happened. There hasn't been any revelation like that. And you better believe these people are digging pretty deeply and trying to figure that out. With all of the other stuff, though, there's like there are stacking problems that people allege, such as the straight comparison to Pokemon. Now, like I said, there is no question that this is inspired by Pokemon. There's no doubt, like it is, okay? It's inspired by Pokemon, and that is a big selling point for a lot of people. That's part of the reason a lot of people are interested in it, is because it's basically Pokemon with guns, right? It's Pokemon with crafting and with a big world you can play with your friends on, and like that's part of the selling point. Does that necessarily mean that supporting it is unethical? I don't really think so, because again, like if you start with that precedent where if you're inspired by this thing or by this other thing, therefore supporting you is unethical, you get into some murky water. I mean, this was something that people brought up, where they just compare some of the monsters within Pokemon to monsters within Dragon Quest that have been around for longer. And it's pretty clear when you put things side by side, like, yeah, these are kind of direct inspirations or parallel thinking. Like most Pokemon are built around like real world animals, and then they're kind of extrapolated from that. So like the caterpillar, okay, we have the caterpillar and then a caterpillar over here, or oh, like we have the hermit crab or conch shell, whatever. And so yeah, they're going to be roughly similar. The platypus inspired thing to the platypus inspired thing, the bat inspired thing to the bat inspired thing, the mouse unicorn thing with the mouse unicorn thing. So there are going to be instances of parallel thinking, but are you really going to say that these aren't at least taking some small nods from these? I think they are, but they're reworked in a way. And I think the fair use law is actually, even though it doesn't apply here, fair use in the context of like online content does not apply to this, to be clear, legally speaking. But I think in terms of the spirit of the rules and the laws and regulations with it, I think are more comparable. Because, or at least they're fair to bring up, because in the case of this, like within fair use, the question is whether it preserves the value of the original work and is truly transformative. Because like if I do a reaction to a movie where I just hit play, or like some streamers have done this where they watch like MasterChef on stream and they just hit play and just sit back and watch and eat their slop, and then they just rake in the subs and money because people are watching MasterChef on the streamer's stream, but the streamer profits off of it. That's not transformative because it doesn't preserve the value of the original work. There's no reason for you to go and now watch the show yourself in a way that would support the creators of the show financially, because you just watched it in its entirety through this streamer that was just watching the TV show, right? And in the context of this, I would say that these recreations in the same vein preserve the value of the original work. Yes, they're probably inspired. Yes, there's some things that are uncomfortably close, like the bat designs are super close. Some of these like ethereal things and the crabs and everything, like there are some that are very close, but it still retains the value of the original work. Dragon Quest doesn't really care if Pokemon's successful. If Pokemon's successful, Dragon Quest can still be successful. And I think that in the same vein, even though Palworld is heavily inspired by Pokemon, I don't think that it alters the value of the original work of Pokemon beyond making it very clear that Pokemon has made very little progress in terms of improving their product offering over the last decade or so. They just have never been able to really do a whole lot of stuff. And yeah, it also applies to reacting stuff. Absolutely. That's why, like, if we do anything that, like, for example, at one point I had to go upstairs and we had to do something, like, I think a package came or something. Like, the standard for streamers is to turn on a YouTube video and just go do it. I'm not comfortable doing that unless it's like my own YouTube video or maybe like a trailer or something that you've already seen. But I'm not going to watch like some other YouTuber's video and just hit play. Like, I don't think that that's necessarily fair. But with that being said, I do think that the value of Pokemon is still retained even with all of this stuff being inspired. Okay. So with all this, there's still just an ocean, a variable ocean of people that are saying that you're unethical if you support it, that there's a lot of stuff here that's just bad, and that, you know, you supporting it is tantamount to supporting commercialized theft. And I'll be real, I think a lot of it gets to be a bit of a stretch, and here's what I'm starting to see, okay? This controversy has been brewing for the last few days, and the game is only doing better and better. Clearly, let's think pragmatically, okay? Clearly those arguments are not working, okay? And when we've seen in the past, and Hogwarts Legacy is a good example, when you have people on social media trying to cancel a game or a product for any given reason, whether it's, you know, allegations of sloppy inspiration, shall we say, or allegations of like supporting a transphobic author or whatever it may be. If the initial cancellation attempt doesn't work, the harder you push, it's almost like people start to support it out of spite just because they get so annoyed. They get so livid. And I mean, Hogwarts Legacy is a great example where a lot of people were just like, oh my God, you guys are so annoying. Calm down. We understand your point. I just don't agree with the point. That doesn't make me, like, doesn't mean I love J.K. Rowling. I just don't agree that canceling this game is the fair conclusion. But then they keep pushing. If you guys remember with Hogwarts Legacy, we had people coming into our chat when we were streaming the game, typing out in all caps the N-word with the hard R and everything, and many other slurs to try and get the stream canceled, to try and get the stream shut down, to try and get all of my stuff demonetized and blah, blah, blah. And it caused a lot of people to go, if you guys are right, I'm not sure if I want to be right. Like, if you guys like are really on the right side of this issue, would you have to resort to that kind of thing? I'm not sure you would. I think that maybe means that you're the bad guy. You know, it's like when the like I forgot what comedian brought it up, but it's like, you know, with the stormtroopers just casually look around, they're like, wait a minute, we're on the Death Star, maybe we're the bad guys, you know. Like, there at some point there should be a realization of like, wait, we're gonna go in there and type that into the chat to try and get the streamer that doesn't seem cool. Like, that seems like we might be the bad guy, you know. Like, it might do the opposite. And I'm starting to see the early stages of similar behavior of insanity with regards to Palworld, where people are coming in and trying to cancel streamers or YouTubers if they so much as talk about the game because of this or that. Now, do I think those people necessarily care that much about intellectual property disputes between multi-million-dollar or even billion-dollar companies? No, I don't think they care that much. I think it's more that generative AI is a very hot button issue right now, especially within artistic, like, communities of artists. And so I think that because it's a hot button issue, it's easy to tie these things together. And I don't think that that's necessarily fair. because I understand, and thank you everybody for the memberships and stuff. I'll get to those in just a minute, but sorry, I just have like a frog in my throat. But I understand it's a hot button issue for a lot of people. I just don't think it's fair to react with such crazy vitriol. The thing is, with a lot of these discussions, there are protections in place already. If Palworld's developers have overstepped legal grounds and have infringed on copyright and have infringed on the copyrighted designs of Pokemon or this or that, there are protections in place. The allegation that because the CEO previously said he thinks there's a place for generative AI in video game design, that therefore the game should be canceled, that is an argument that no one is buying. Nobody thinks that that's fair except for like 350 people on Twitter, okay? Nobody's with you. And you can tell that because the game is only doing better and better as you've been grasping at straws trying to do that. Because frankly, there probably is a place for generative AI in game design. Now you have to be specific about it. You can't just say that. You have to say, which even now there's going to be people that clip that. But with something like generative fill on Photoshop, if you're trying to create a little piece of artwork and you're like, I just want to replace that window. I want to put like an ocean outside the window. So you do a little generative fill on it for that concept art to be like, oh yeah, look at that. Cool. Does that mean that therefore the game should be canceled? I don't think that would be fair. I don't think so. Now, if you're just having it be like, okay, have AI art do absolutely everything, then we probably have a problem. But that's why you have to be a little more specific than just AI involved in games. You can't just say like, therefore it's all bad. Like, okay, are you saying, like, one of the things I've used AI for in the creation of my videos is that I have like outlines, and I've described this before. I have huge outlines and notes from when I play a game. So let's say I think I used it a bit for the Starfield review, where I had just a list as I played through the game of things that happened. So I would be like, maybe it's at this timestamp, this gunplay sequence is broken because this guy clips into the door and then his line of sight breaks, so he can't be attacked, but he also doesn't attack you. And then the next line or bullet point is me saying this section graphically looks fantastic. And then the next section is I ran into this bug where this happens. And I go through and there's pages and pages and pages of these bullet pointed things. For me to manually sort those would be super annoying. So what I did is I just copied it, pasted it into ChatGPT, said, can you organize these bullet points based on what they're discussing? And it took 10 seconds and organized all of that. What would have taken me like an hour or two of tedium, rearranging and slotting things around, it did in 10 seconds very, very well and saved me a ton of time. Now, should that video be canceled because I dared to use AI in the process of creating it? I don't think so. And I think the argument for why it should be canceled in that case would be a bit of a stretch, because like, what's it infringing on? My own note taking? Like, how does that work? Yeah. Oh, it's putting other people out of work. Myself, with me saving time. Like, okay. It gets into questions about productivity and where the place is. So there just has to be a bit of specificity with this. It's the same kind of thing that happened, I think justly so, in the case of NFTs. If you guys remember with NFTs, the craziness around that, pretty much any marketable use case for NFTs were tied up in scams and BS. Like, there basically, as far as I'm aware, was not a single pitched use for NFTs that was actually helpful and productive. There were potential use cases. NFTs, having a game code for, say, Steam tied to a public blockchain registry, that could allow you to have a version of a video game that you buy, like Palworld, on Steam, and then you could sell that specific copy of a digital asset, the digital game, to a friend. So it could actually create a secondhand market for digital video games. That's a super cool use for something like a non-fungible token. But is that what people were trying to sell you? No, they were trying to sell you stupid pictures of monkeys. So of course it didn't go anywhere. And that's why I think it was fair to be like, yeah, NFTs usually are a scam, but the technology itself is not a scam. And what a lot of these people are trying to do is they're trying to tie generative AI or AI in general to the same type of thing, where it's like AI is a scam or AI is theft or AI, you know, and they try to toss those things in. And it's like, not necessarily. Sometimes, sure. Some of these cases where like there was that really uncomfortable thing with Midjourney. I don't know if you guys remember that, but with Midjourney, they trained the latest version of it. Let me see if I can find it, because I had it bookmarked at one point. They like trained it on a bunch of screen caps of everything that you could think of. And they just asked it to generate like generic things. So Paul Tassi, a journalist with Forbes, he put this out. Well, I just tried this whole Midjourney V6 give you licensed characters even if you don't name them thing. So he asked it to generate a video game character who is a young girl traveling with a middle-aged man in the apocalypse. Aspect ratio 16:9. And it generated that. And these are some of the other things it generated. So clearly, it's been trained on pictures and wallpapers and things of the actual Last of Us game. And then it's using that as inspiration to generate this stuff. And the argument is that if you were to use this type of tool to create the art for your game, clearly it's taking things from artists, like human artists, and then using that to create a separate thing that's not entirely separate. Therefore, there should be like the ability to license to the original artists or whatever else. And I think that makes sense. That's a reason to be concerned, because they can just generate whatever other copyrighted insanity that they wanted to do, and it wouldn't necessarily be totally fair. So there's a fair concern to be had with something like Palworld using generative AI that could potentially infringe on copyright. When that's demonstrated, yeah, there are protections in place. Steam can punish them by unlisting their game. And if there are straight up copyright concerns, you better believe Nintendo's going to come in and sue the ever living hell out of them. Because if they can do that, they will. Nintendo loves their lawsuits, okay? So I'm sorry. Okay, this is why I can't have just Twitter open at the same time that we do this, because this popped up on my timeline. Apparently they do blind long jumping, and so the poor guy runs and leaps, and it's just, the railing right up the butt crack. Oh, man. That one hurts. Oh, God. So anyway, ADHD, the stream. Here we go. Yay. So all of this to say, there are potential concerns with generative AI as it pertains to Palworld. My stance is the last place this stuff should be adjudicated is in the court of Twitter, a cesspool of intellectual depravity. Okay, there is no reason you should be like looking for really robust adjudications on these issues on Twitter. If there is a real issue, you better believe Nintendo's going to take the opportunity to sue them, and it will get settled in court. I think the reason there hasn't been a lawsuit yet is probably because Nintendo's lawyers are trying to find a way to make this more compelling and more conclusive, and that's just going to be very, very difficult to sell. If like Palworld officially supported something like this, a mod that just puts straight up Pokemon into the game, then yeah, there would be an issue. Just a little Pikachu hacking away. Then there would be an issue if they were officially condoning and supporting this, but they're not. So they could shut down this mod, but the question of whether or not you'd be able to shut down the game, that is still very much an open question. I personally expect Nintendo to probably try to toss out a lawsuit. I wouldn't be shocked at that at all. I think that would be, it would be more surprising if they didn't try it, because they have more dollars than cents, it seems, a lot of the time. But we will see. We will see. The fact they haven't done it yet is surprising, honestly. But they might just be getting their ducks in a row to prepare the lawsuit and get everything figured out. As for all this other stuff, I think it's going to be interesting to see how it develops. I personally have not heard any arguments or seen anything that makes me feel like supporting Palworld is therefore bad, because the CEO previously liked the idea of AI and also said that he'd rather combine ideas from different games to create a different game. I don't see how any of that is cancelable. And I think when you're putting your eggs in that basket, when you're trying to like cry wolf, the problem with this is what drives me the most crazy, is that it diminishes the validity of actual claims of AI overstepping. Because there have been instances of that with smaller games. But we're going to see a lot more of it in the coming years, where just straight up entire games are created with generative AI stuff. And in those cases, people will need to step up and be like, hey, we can't allow this. We can't tolerate this. This is overstepping. But with everybody crying wolf over this, where yes, it's inspired by Pokemon, but as of right now, there's been no clear or definitive comparisons of them lifting things straight from Pokemon or anything. It's going to make it really hard to make those valid arguments when we really need them to be successful. And that's my bigger frustration, is just that this stuff is actively, I think when it's not done properly, it can harm later causes that really are more important. When you see like, and we've already started to see this, we saw a couple of instances where like entire marketing teams were laid off within certain companies, and then they just start uploading AI art that's really, really lazy. And so it's like you fired all of your artists and like marketing gurus because you thought you could save money and just do this, but it looks so much worse. And then everybody starts making fun of them and teasing them, and they realize maybe it was it was better to keep the actual team on board. But when you're throwing everything out, because a CEO previously said he'd like to find ways to use this technology in their game process, or he likes amalgamations of stuff like that. That's a tough thing to sell to people, I think. But I don't know. Yeah, my personal favorite lawsuit is recently Rockstar claiming Remedy's logo is too close to theirs. There are weird things with trademarks in the US specifically, though. And this is something I ran into, which I met with a lawyer who recommended that I trademark like the channel names. So he's like, trademark Luke Stevens video, trademark like Ultimate Critique, trademark this stuff. And you know, he's a lawyer. He's just trying to toss out things that he could charge me for, let's be honest. So I wasn't going to do this. But he said the one thing to remember though is if you trademark that stuff as your brand or as this or that, anytime there's a potential infringement, you have to seek legal action, which again, as a lawyer, he makes money every time I try to seek legal action. So for him, me trademarking everything is the best possible thing for him. But he said that if I were to trademark X, anytime there was a potential infringement of X, I would have to seek legal action to try and shut it down. Otherwise, you can lose that trademark within the system that the US has in place. So in the case of Rockstar suing Remedy, it's probably because their lawyers came together and were like, hey, it's a big R. Our logo is a big R with like a little star on it. It's close enough that we probably need to file something just so they can't argue that we stopped enforcing. And so that's, in my view, what it is. It's not that they're actually trying to screw over Remedy. It's that in the US, you have to take legal action. It's a legal obligation is what it's called. So you have to, which is weird. Internationally, I think it's more flimsy. But if you have a trademark registered in the US and an international company also has their logo registered in the US, then it's a US issue. I don't know if this dispute was specifically overseas and they're not pursuing anything in the States. I'm not sure, but I guess we shall see. So what you're telling me is that there's a market for a company that automatically goes after anyone who infringes their client's trademarks? Yes. Yes.
You are great and a true professional. Wishing you and your family a happy new year.
Aw, thank you, my friend. Appreciate you, Nave. Thank you. Yeah, no, and I appreciate you watching the stuff. Appreciate you. Ibday, Thank you also for the 20 hours into Remnant 2. It's so good. You put me on. Yeah, no, dude, I had fun with it. It's a good time too, especially if you got some friends. Sean Dada. Thank you, my friend. 13 months. Oh, baby. No props, guys, for now being aboard the membership. I like that term. Basically, if you guys missed that stream, I was like, there's no catchy name for being a member on YouTube because it's like the sub club on Twitch, but on YouTube, it's like memberships. You know, how do you do it? And then somebody made me look really stupid. And it's like, it's a member dash ship. It's like, oh my God. Oh my God. They solved it. They solved the equation. So there we go. And oh geez, Sean, also thank you for the 5 gifted memberships. Welcome everybody who got the gifted memberships. Thank you. Very generous. And then over on Twitch, thank you to 1994 Special Olympic Bronze M. Wow. Thank you for resubbing with Prime, 3 months of support. That's fantastic. Thank you. And then Logan, thank you for the 300 bits. Black Myth and Crimson Desert look so unreal. It feels like China and Japan are going to be monoliths of gaming, especially because the West are more interested in implicit propaganda. I think, you know, the long-term like term that's been used for China and a lot of their industry has been that they're a sleeping giant waiting to awaken. And I think that that's probably accurate. There's industries that they've not stepped into that once they step into with just the money and the firepower that they have, they could grow very, very competitive. So I agree. I think it's surprising that like Chinese developers have not really broken into the West that much, but I think that the time will come when they do. And if you want to talk about potential copyright infringement, there were a lot of concerns that like CD Projekt Red's source code leaked, and now Rockstar's source code is leaked. And if you don't know, there's a big international issue with China specifically not enforcing IP protections, copyright and trademark protections and patent infringement and things. And that causes a lot of issues with like fake products where, I mean, we all know it. It's like you go on eBay, you don't know if you're getting a real iPhone or a knockoff iPhone. So even though it's clearly like an infringement of copyright and trademark and patents and everything else, it's still just like a Wild West over there. And so there's a lot of concern within executives within the gaming industry that potentially we could start to see some games come out of China that utilize some of that sort of hacked and data mined and leaked software and code that could cause a lot of issues. Most likely you'd see it where like if they tried to sell it on Steam, I think Steam would unlist it and you wouldn't be able to buy it through Steam, but they can always just sell it direct to you through their own launcher, which a lot of games already do. You just have to Google the game, download their launcher. It's not even purchased through Steam or Epic or anything. So I think in the next few years, we're going to start to see a lot of that stuff. You'll probably see a handful of games come out that like look suspiciously like a Rockstar game in terms of animation, and then also look suspiciously like Cyberpunk 2077 because all of that data starts to leak. And it'll get very, very suspicious and strange. Yeah, it's a whole thing. Also, thank you to Toad Howard. He's Todd Howard's brother. Is he the evil twin or is he the good twin? Who can say? But thank you for the very, very generous tip through my link tree. Thank you, my friend. That was very generous. Shout out to Toad Howard. Thank you, Toad Howard. Is that a Stanley Cup? No, dear God, no. I go with Yeti, okay? I go with Yeti. That's a crazy name. Hey, Toad Howard is just that's his name. That's what he has to be called. So Toad Howard. Okay. Okay. I'm just making sure. We have a video that has to go up, but we're waiting on approval for it to go up. So I'm watching for that. It's weird. You guys if I publish a video at noon, it takes 3 days to catch up to what it will do in 12 hours if I launch it at 10 a.m. If I launch it 2 hours late, it takes 3 days to catch up. Isn't that weird? But I think it's because like everybody watches, like most of my audience watches for whatever reason from 10 a.m. to about 11:30. And so if I miss that window, it just throws the whole video off. It's crazy. A lot of other YouTubers, like even this live channel, Luke Stevens Live on YouTube, we don't really have to stress that much about upload times. We can put it up at midnight and it'll eventually, like after a day or two, it'll level out with the rest of the videos. But on the main channel, if I miss that initial upload window, it takes days and days to catch up, which is just weird. It's weird. It's a whole thing. It's a whole thing. You guys don't even know. It's a whole thing. Okay. Wee haha, wing wing, walla walla bing bang. Oh, dude, now that's gonna be stuck in my head. Thank you, Mr. Boogle. Sorry, I've been having this in my head. Wanted to hear the announcer say it. Let's see. Is it gonna read it? Let's see if it does. I want to hear it too. Oh no, it was parried because Ray. Okay. I forgot that's a thing.
Ray Farr donated $5 through Super Chat. Question on SS. KTJL.
Okay.
In the recent Hall of Justice showcase, the League seems braggy. Is this because of our PC's perspectives or just bad writing?
They seem braggy. I mean, I think they are understandably very. Oh, Shadow, we got 666 concurrent viewers. Holla. I think it's a couple of things, but I think for one, if you're a member of the Justice League, you've kind of earned the right to be a little sassy and braggy. So I think that's part of it. It's also really hard to write. Well, let me just say, I think it's fair for them to write the Justice League as having contempt for the Suicide Squad. You know, like if I'm Wonder Woman, would I necessarily be thrilled to see Harley Quinn and like King Shark and those guys? Like, would I really be thrilled to see them? Probably not. I'd probably give them crap, you know? So I think that it makes sense. I think it makes sense. Let's see. Luke, are you all ready to try Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice? What do you think about it? Are you excited for Hellblade 2? Yeah, I love the original game. I thought the original game was really good. It had issues, sure. It was far from perfect, but I thought for what they were trying to do, it was very successful. My concern with the second game is that it just doesn't seem to be really doing that much differently, which is just surprising. It's very surprising. But yeah, I guess Jacob, you can attach this on to. You can attach this on to the end of the Palworld thing, because I feel like we should maybe look at this specific thing since he's responded to it. Okay. I guess you can tack this on to the end of it. And lastly, Palworld embroiled in AI and Pokemon plagiarism controversy. Social media users highlight character design similarities and the developers' generative AI history. It's been accused of plagiarizing designs from Pokemon as social media users negatively highlight its creators' historical association with generative AI tools. As we previously described, you know, it's done very, very well. He actually just responded. So Takuro Mizobi, I believe is how it's pronounced, posted a response to the accusations. While he did not deny any influence from Pokemon, he claimed the game's artists had received online abuse and called for it to stop. Yeah, I've seen it where people are like, I saw one of the members said that they had been receiving death threats and stuff, which again, like, it's the same thing with those people coming into chat and like casually dropping the hard R. It's like, you realize you're not convincing people that way. That is a tremendous way to get everyone to root for your downfall. Like, it just is what it is. Yeah, and you see like they're kind of memeing on it too. Like, art imposter and stuff. Like, yeah, you gotta own it a little bit. Gotta have fun. Currently, we are receiving slanderous comments against our artists, and we are seeing tweets that appear to be death threats. I have received a variety of opinions regarding Palworld, but all productions related to Palworld are supervised by multiple people, including myself, and I am responsible for the production. I would appreciate it if you would refrain from slandering the artists involved in Palworld. That will not stop them. But the big overarching thing with all of this is just simply that it seems the public does not care that much. Okay? Seems that they just don't frankly care. And that perhaps is what should be most concerning to the people that are really trying to fight this fight. And this is why I encourage you to think pragmatically. You're not convincing people with current strategies and tactics, so we got to figure something else out. I agree generative AI is an issue, especially in terms of protecting artists' capacity to create, make a living creating. That's an issue. Absolutely. Current techniques, current strategies as they relate to Palworld are not working. And instead, it's just turning into crying wolf, and it's going to actively harm your efforts in the long run. So let's be pragmatic. Let's try to find ways that you could actually convince people, because what you're doing right now is not working. Making death threats, not working. Trying to get people canceled for playing the game, it's not going to work. If anything, it's going to make people buy the game out of pure spite. So I just want to be very, very clear about that. I'm too pragmatic for this stuff. Like, I know some people will rile themselves up and be like, I'm arguing on principle. That's why I think people should be canceled if they play this game. Okay, but if you actually want to make a difference, we have to be pragmatic and figure out what will actually work. You know, like, you can be really upset about Target raising the price of X product on their shelf by 5%. You can be really passionate about that. But stripping naked and running through the parking lot probably is not going to win anybody over to your case. Maybe instead, you should funnel that passion into a strategy that's more productive, like going to the news or creating a social media campaign or something like that. You know, you just have to find another outlet that is perhaps going to work better. And shout out to Stefan for the super chat.
Stefan Konstantin Dimitrashe donated RON 25 through Super Chat. Dedicated to Mr. Boogle. O-E-E-O-U-A-A Wing Wong Walla Walla Bing Bang.
That turned out fantastic. Thank you, Stefan. That was good. Oh, yeah, it's fun hearing robots try to sound like pop artists. Is that technically a pop artist? I don't even know. Boycotting does work. Look at Bud Light. Yeah, it does work if the core group of customers boycotts it. It's not working here because the core group of customers that are buying Palworld are not convinced that they should boycott. So it's just not working. Like, it's not working at all. So at this point, you have to look elsewhere. Like, the people that are boycotting apparently were not going to be buying this game or be the core customer base for this game to begin with. They have to convince players of like Ark Survival and now Palworld to boycott it if they want to make a difference. And they are failing miserably at that. So you got to find a different strategy. That's all I'm saying. What they're doing now, not working. Figure something else out. But inevitably, people are going to call me like a generative AI simp, which, try me, bitch.
Ray Farr donated $5 through Super Chat. Ooh ee ee ooh ah ah ting tang walla walla bing bang.
Walla walla bing bang.
Ooh ah ah ting tang walla walla bang bang.
These are my favorite super chats
ooh,
ever.
Ah ah ting tang walla walla bing bang.
I love it. I love it. Thank you guys for the super chats, and shout out to Mr. Boogle for starting a phenomenon. Fantastic job. Fantastic job. Where's chat? There's chat. Okay. People are just upset because Pokemon is stuck in the 2012 3DS game design. Yeah, maybe that's part of it, is people are just frustrated by how bad the other game is. That could be part of it. It could also be that, like, again, it's kind of like with the Hogwarts Legacy thing and the calls for that to be boycotted. A lot of the people that were calling for it to be boycotted had no position within the gaming industry. Like there were some people that reached out to me directly and were very passionate and very genuine about thinking that it was not okay to play Hogwarts Legacy, and they made very impassioned cases and I thought very intelligent cases for it, and I think they argued their point pretty well. And but those people were like 2 or 3 that I ever had reach out. Most of the people that were trying to get me to like not talk about the game or discuss it were like using horrific
Love your
slurs.
workspace and your work.
You know, it was crazy. Thank you, my friend. Thank you. I'm trying to find other ways to spice up the space too. I kind of want to maybe do like, okay, this is how you know I'm bougie. I was thinking of doing a smoke machine. Wouldn't that be cool? Like a little smoke machine, get some fog in the room so the spotlight from the back is kind of illuminated with God rays. I think it could look cool. My wife would give me so much crap if I had a smoke machine in here. Plus, I don't know how it would affect the electronics, you know? I don't actually know how a smoke machine affects electronics. So I don't really want to commit to it before doing that. Do you guys remember? Hold on. Let me see if I can find it. Can I? Oh yeah, this guy. You remember this kid? 15-year-old Twitch streamer throws a rave every time after getting a kill in Call of Duty. That's a vibe. You just sent it. I don't actually know. Did they not link him? How toxic. They just steal his clip and then upload it without linking to him. What pricks. He's a pulse counter. Yeah, they don't even link him. That's crazy. Luke in 10 years. Yeah, if I can't stop buying crap. Yeah. Smoke machine and a hot tub. Are you sure you aren't starting an OnlyFans? Dude, the problem, so this house we bought, it has a hookup for a hot tub. So at some point in the past, somebody hired an electrician to run like the line out to the back by the garden walkout, and it's got a big concrete pad, and so they were going to put a hot tub there, and it's going to be the place to be, you know. But they did that, and we only have a 100 amp power box. So they routed all of this. The electrician charged them to do it, but the box doesn't actually have the capacity to send enough juice to run a hot tub. So they ran all of that, and it basically can't be used with a hot tub. Now I'm having to upgrade the power box anyways. So I'm having to go and like hire an electrician to pull permits and upgrade it. It's like a whole thing. It's an upgrade I knew I'd have to make, but it's a little bit annoying. Yeah, it's funny because somebody got really excited at the idea of getting a hot tub, hired an electrician, or God forbid they did it themselves, but they ran the wire and lines out, and this is where they're at now. They could never put it in, which I just find funny.
Hinomensky is now a red flag.
Thank you.
Hey babe.
Hey babe.
Typher are wonderful streams that always make my workdays enjoyable. Can you watch the first 3 minutes of the Starfield Girlfriend review? Trust me.
Sure, we can do that. Thank you, my friend. Kinemansky, 3 months. Starfield Girlfriend review. Yeah, speaking of Hogwarts Legacy, wasn't Girlfriend reviews, was she the one that for Hogwarts Legacy they like tried to fully cancel, and like, oh, was she the one that like started crying because they were being so nasty to her? Yeah, okay. Yeah, see, that's one of those instances where it's like, you guys realize you look like the bad guys to everybody. Like, nobody's convinced by this. Like, you come off as the bad guys, but somehow they just never really process it. Regarding the smoke machine, it's harmful to electronics because the glycerin in the smoke promotes dust buildup in the inside of the electronics. That does make sense. That does make sense. But is it worth it? Is it? But yeah, tell me why not. Why wouldn't it work? Tell me why not. It sounds like it might be worth it. So what you're saying is that it would be worth it. It would be a problem, but it would be worth it though. Okay. Should we go just transparent? Is that what we do? Okay.
Fallout 76
You said the first 3 minutes?
video game I ever reviewed. In that episode,
Hold on, wait. What was that first shot?
Fallout 76 was the second.
Oh, is this Red Dead 2? Is that shot when you walk in? I think that might be what it is. Just Todd going to town on Fallout 76. What a player. Lenny!
Video game I ever reviewed. In that episode, I said, Todd Howard, fancy shoes, shiny jacket,
Harmonies.
crappy game, $60 in the garbage, Elder Scrolls, the engine's old.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good. Should we do more musical elements to our reviews? Should we do that? I've done plenty of musicals. We could do it pretty easy. I just have never thought of doing that. That's pretty funny. Shout out to Girlfriend Reviews. I actually do. Were any of you guys here? This is how we're going to tell if there's OGs here. Were any of you guys here years ago when we did we spent maybe an hour on stream? Maybe not years ago. It was like a year ago. But we spent like an hour on stream going through his wardrobe and searching and finding what shoes he was wearing, what pants, what jacket, what shirt, and all that. We dug into the whole wardrobe of Todd. We found his watch, everything. That was I think we had 30 people in chat. Nobody was here. But it was a whole thing. It was a whole thing. But what we found, I found the actual company that sells his jacket and the actual company that sold those shoes. The shoes were typical dress shoes. I think they were $130 or something. The jacket, $500-600. It wasn't crazy for a leather jacket. The watch though, was 12 grand or something. It was a very nice watch. And then he also had a t-shirt. I think it was a Lulu shirt that he was wearing underneath the sports coat or underneath the jacket rather. And I think the Lulu shirt was $70, but I'm gonna be real. If you ever, and this is not me trying to weirdly flex, but it's going to come off that way. If you ever try one of those Lululemon shirts or a Viore Tech tee, you will never want to wear another shirt ever again. Ever again. These merch shirts that we sell, the reason they're a little bit more expensive is because they are made out of the closest shirt that you can print a design on to those shirts. So they're very, very nice, very stretchy, very comfortable. They breathe really nicely, which is good because I'm Scottish, so I'm a furnace. I go out in 30-degree weather in a t-shirt because I'm so hot otherwise. It's a problem. But yeah, if you've never worn a Lulu shirt, maybe don't, because if you wear one of those Lulu shirts or if you wear a Viore Vertitech t-shirt, I think is what they call, you will never want to wear anything else ever again. It will actively ruin your wardrobe because everything else will feel scratchy and gross. I'm telling you, it's not worth it. It's a whole thing. It's a whole thing, okay? It's a whole thing. So don't do it. That's what happened to Todd. He tried the shirt once and now he can't stop. That's why he had to put all the microtransactions and paid mods in, because he's an addict now. He can't.
But in this episode, I'm reviewing Starfield.
Calm down, Fernando. Jesus.
Probably need to change some of those lyrics because a lot of things at Bethesda seem to have changed. Not war, according to them.
War never changes.
It sure
Neither
doesn't.
do Todd Howard's clothes, so fancy shoes, shiny jacket, relevant as ever. But this
There were 3 years where he wore the exact same coat to the same events. He would wear different pants and
Stefan
stuff, but same
Constantine
coat.
Dimitrashe donated
Why
RON
do I know
25
that?
through Super Chat. If you would design your studio like one game interior, which would it be? For example, I would try to take inspiration from some Witcher 3 interiors.
Oh. Honestly, the one thing I've always thought would be really, really cool for a studio would be to like I've always wanted to make a tavern. Like a tavern with like the dark wood beams that go overhead and the torches on the walls and everything. I've always wanted to do that. It's just difficult because of course you can't have like an open flame burning all the time in a regular residential basement. It's shockingly against all sorts of like protocol and and regulations. It's crazy. But I've always thought that would be really, really cool. And so like you could either do that. So imagine like the tavern that The Witcher 3 kind of opens up in after you take down or try to take down the Griffin. Then you go to the little tavern where you initially meet with what's his name? Gunter Odim. You initially meet him there. Like design it around that tavern, or go full on dungeon mode, like caves, stalactites or mites, whichever it is, I can never remember. And then like everything's very cold because I love it cold and things like that. I think that could also be really, really cool. We might try to do that. Here's the thing. I'm anticipating this house probably becomes a rental and I probably rent it out, or we flip it and just try to sell it when we move to the next place. So I don't really want to put all the time and effort into creating a mock dungeon for like a D&D room. Partially because we're just going to move. But secondly, because it's probably going to be really hard to sell and tell the broker why this room that's in the basement locked behind a bookshelf hidden door, why it's decorated like an actual dungeon. That's going to be tough to sell to people. So it might not be the best idea in terms of resale value to do that in this house. Maybe the next house we do it. Would ever do a house tour? I think the problem as the house stands is that if we did a house tour, people could use rough information of when they know I moved here to go through listings and like dig into Zillow and figure out which house it is, which is a problem, especially considering we've been swatted before already. So don't really want to do that. If we were to buy a house with more property or with in like a gated neighborhood or something like that, where I'd feel more comfortable sharing details. And it's like, yeah, even if you knew where I was, it wouldn't help you. Then I'd be more comfortable. As of right now, I'm not really comfortable with it. And with 2 kids, it's extra tricky, because I don't want to do anything that could potentially toss them into harm's way, of course. For a members only stream, we should check out some videos of secret rooms and studios. I've seen some sick ones. Oh, I believe it. We totally should do that. By the way, everybody, if you're not a member or subscribed on Twitch, we do members only streams. It looks like Thursday is going to be the day. So like Thursday mornings, probably. So if you have not become a member or subscribed, you should, because we have a really good time there. And I want to start doing some of that stuff that maybe wouldn't make it into a normal stream or video, but just fun stuff like looking at that stuff. I think that could be super, super cool. Cynical, I subscribe to everything. That's why I love you. Okay, anyway, sorry, I'm really bad at watching stuff.
Crappy game, $60 in the garbage line just doesn't hold up. Starfield is so much more than Fallout 76. It's $10 more, so $70 in the garbage. Perfect. Just kidding, Starfield fans, if you do in fact exist. Obviously, the price isn't the only thing to change when a critically acclaimed studio develops their first new IP in 25 years. Anyone can see just by watching the trailer that Bethesda also changed how those PlayStation bullies feel about console exclusives now that Xbox has one and they only have 36.
36! Balowski! I had 47!
But did Todd Howard make a good game? Or did he put all his points into persuasion and pretend he made a good game? Again.
You want to impress people with lies?
How else do you impress them?
I'll let my boyfriend's playtime.
How else do you do that? I don't understand what you're saying. Doesn't make any sense at all, of course.
Of over 100
Thank
hours.
you. Hold on, let me pull that up. Grandpa Naps. Yeah, I love it. Thank you for subbing with Prime, my friend.
Speak for itself.
I think the devil made this game, It's like everything you've wanted. Sci-fi Bethesda game, and at every point they just are like trying to make it as annoying for you as possible.
There you have it. However, this is a review of what it's like to live with someone who plays Starfield, so I'll try to be nice, but it's a tot awful small
More music. Cool, thank you.
to the Todd with fancy.
Cole is now a red flag.
And his game isn't ready, no. But Microsoft paid so much dough. So he puts on a jacket that sheens. Then he walks out to sell you things. On the stage with the clearest view of his customers' cries and screams. But Starfield is a saddening bore. You'll see this cave 10 times or more. Holy shit, the AI are fools. Nexus mods, can you improve on trailers? Hiding all the ragdolls. Goddamn, lockpicking is way too slow. Too much cargo to stow. Take a look at the long skins eating up your playtime. No map, vendor credits are too low. He said your PC's too old.
Upgrade your PC.
These are lies of Todd.
Sorry.
Welcome to
was pretty good.
Starfield, a game about faster than light travel that is slower than molasses.
That was good. You guys said watch the first 3 minutes. I don't want to eat up too much of it just watching her whole video. But that's very, very good. That's very, very good. The little stuff, man, too, like all the little things that Bethesda does, which maybe now finally people are starting to realize, like the tedious random inventory management stuff. It's actively so infuriating and annoying. Like I don't see how people find that fun. Maybe you do. I don't get it. The other thing, like the lock picking games. Why does every game have to have a lock picking mechanic like this? I would honestly, I prefer the way Baldur's Gate does it, where they just have it to like, oh, well, it's all just a dice roll. So it's this percentage likelihood of getting through. And I know they have like auto slots, and sometimes you have, in other games, you might have like a companion that can do it for you. But like, I find it so annoying that all of their games have this random stuff. It just drives me crazy. Drives me crazy. Here, I'll put the link to that video in chat so you guys can go watch it, because that's freaking hilarious. It's freaking hilarious. Okay, there you go. Oh, there's another Suicide Squad insider. Oh no. Should we tick off more people? Should we do it? Oh my god, should we do it? Let's do it, guys. New segment. Okay, it's time to piss off another group of people by talking about this game even more. Because that's what we do. We piss off fanboys. I'm so sorry. So, if somehow you have been sleeping under a small pebble or a larger rock, you may not be aware that they have dropped a good amount of information about Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. I keep talking about it because at this point it's just kind of beating a dead horse. And normally, like, I'd be like, hey guys, this is getting sad. Can we talk about something else? But you guys still want me to talk about it and still look at it. So we're going to do that. They just dropped another 11-minute, it looks like, 11-minute video. Suicide Squad Insider Episode 3, introducing Elseworlds. Now, we already saw Elseworlds during that sponsored stream they did with Shroud and Tarek and Dr. Lupo. And so we've seen this. Basically, it's the end game, and I'm guessing that this is just an insider episode explaining the end game, which if you watch the stream, you already know about, but, you know, whatever. Let's see, though, what this looks like. Maybe they can do a better job of explaining it.
Computer, activate the threat assessment matrix.
All right. Toys, lighted guns. What are we waiting for? We can work with that.
Hi, I'm Darius Sadigian, studio director at Rocksteady Studios. In our last episode, we talked about how Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League allows players to customize each character and their playstyle through story-driven mechanics.
They're still stressing the story stuff. They're like, please, we swear, there's a story. You should play it for that.
Man,
If you gave me 5 minutes in there, you'd have the world's authority on microtech and all my inventions.
Aw, he's so sweet. He's not gonna make it.
The Suicide Squad gave us the scope, the narrative, gameplay, and then the idea of being able to expand that, be able to take this further. It's gonna feel completely fresh. In that spirit, we want to deliver totally new content at no cost for those who purchase Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League.
We're back in business.
All right, let's steal this shit.
Today we'll discuss customization options that draw from the full spectrum of DC Comics. You'll see emotes, rival taunts, outfits, and more. We wanted to have a game that was very focused, but this time we really want to expand out with being able to dynamically update, add new content, take on feedback, and evolve the game over time. For the first time ever, we'll give you a preview of what's to come after the credits roll on our main story campaign. We always designed the game in a way that we really wanted it to be accessible for everyone. And for those players that want to delve even deeper into our gameplay and into our systems, it really is about delivering new places to explore, new worlds to be in, new stories, new characters, and creating unique ways for you to play.
We're gonna give you the content you love. Speaking of, what are you doing, mate? I'm smiling.
Let's dive into Suicide Squad Insider Episode 3.
Okay, so they're going to get into it just like we were expecting, kind of endgame content. I mean, I've said before, and I said this in a handful of the other videos we've done and in the main channel videos on it, I really do think it's important that they explain how the endgame works, because with this, I feel like a lot of the people that are interested in this game are interested in it because they're saying, hey, I'm just going to play it like a regular Rocksteady game, and after the credits roll, I'm done. Like, I'm good. But that is that is still a failure for them. Like, of course, they'd rather you pay $70 and then not touch it over just like not touching it, period. So they'd rather you buy it and play the story than just not give it a chance at all. But this is supposed to be a live service game. This is supposed to be a game that you're playing for years and years, for season after season after season. And so if you're not thinking that the end game is solid, if what we're about to watch doesn't convince you you'd want to play this for months, that's a problem. So this game is out in about a week for early access, okay? About a week. We probably get reviews in about a week. I'm guessing the day that they allow early access is when the reviews go up, or they send out review codes the day of early access, and nobody really gets reviews before the game is playable to everybody. I don't know. Maybe should we do a poll on this? Let's do a poll on this real quick before we continue. Oops, I just accidentally closed it. Damn it. Okay. We were about 2 minutes in. Okay. Okay. Let me pull up a straw poll. And I want to know if you guys think, will there be reviews before it's playable? Because the option is that they drop reviews like the day before early access opens, or the option is that reviews drop after early access is available. Yes or no? Will there be reviews before it's playable? Playable to the public with those things, okay? So let's copy, paste. You guys can vote. My guess is, I'm getting the vibe there will not be. That's my vibe. Okay, that's what I'm vibing with. Let's see what you guys say. Okay, no, yes, no. Because here's the thing. Every time they've given the game to people that are not paid, the response is not great. They're batting zero right now, okay? So I would not be shocked at all if they decided to withhold reviews until like a day into early access. That wouldn't shock me at all, because the odds of the reviews being positive are probably lower than they're comfortable with. So they might just decide, it's not worth the trouble. That wouldn't shock me even a little. I don't think they should do that, to be clear. I think it's anti-consumer to withhold reviews that long. I think it's and it also says a whole lot about what you think of your own game if you're trying to hide the quality of the game from your audience. You know, we called out CD Projekt Red for doing similar crap with the PS4 and Xbox One versions of Cyberpunk, and we should hold them accountable if they do it here. But I'd love for them to surprise me and for them to drop reviews, you know, a day before or a few days before. That would be ideal. Let people know what the game is like from reviewers and then make their purchasing decisions. But let's be honest, nobody really cares what is right. It's more about what makes dollars and cents, right? So we shall see. IGN will review it and give it an 8 guaranteed. It depends on who they give it for review. I think there are people within IGN that could review it and would give it an 8 based on what I've seen and what I've played. Other people, though, I think could potentially end up reviewing it lower. It just depends. It just depends. But okay, let's continue. Let's continue. Because you guys so far are saying it's close. It's about 60-40, but you guys are leaning towards no, reviews will drop after the game is publicly available. Which we'll see. We'll see.
Into Suicide Squad Insider Episode 3.
Yeah.
Welcome to Task Force X.
From the onset, Suicide Squad, being a squad, felt like the right fit for the kind of game that we wanted to make. You get to play with friends, you get to play on your own, but while you are playing on your own, you're playing with the squad. Always.
True.
Every
You're never
aspect of
really
our
alone.
games, we always look at it through the lens of Rocksteady's treatment. And that just doesn't stop at gameplay, that doesn't stop at story. When we're looking at the social features that we've really introduced into Suicide Squad, it has Rocksteady's approach. What do we think players will have fun with?
This game has the mechanics to play kind of socially competitively, like none of our games have previously, and it really fits the characters of the squad.
With multiplayer, we're leaning into the competition within the squad to show off your skills, show off your mettle, be the best one.
I'm a freaking superstar.
The squad are working together under duress. And so it's fun to add in mechanics to encourage the players to behave in the same way. So a lot of the time what you'll actually be doing is trying to get the highest score, which luckily helps you all complete the mission, but the best player in any mission becomes the squad leader in multiplayer for the next mission.
How great was I?
We have leaderboards for solo play, for playing with one friend, two friends, or a 4-player squad.
You're competing with everyone across the world. Cross-platform, it is the best of the best.
Think you're hot shit on toast, but you're cold fuck.
So there are scoreboards. Oh, okay. Okay.
Oh, bread. Did you see that? Tell me you did. I was like, how do you like that?
Precisely. Outstanding!
There's some really fun incentives for playing together as well as playing competitively. You can use the equipment that other players have equipped on their characters in your squad with the AI playing as the characters. And those players whose bots you use get rewards for you using those bots. And that's a really fun feature that I think the players will be incentivized because they'll get something out of doing too.
And to be clear, I mentioned this in the video that went up the other day. I think that this is the best way to handle this, and I think that this is a really cool, unique thing. As far as I'm aware, there aren't any other games, live service games, that are doing this. Correct me if I'm wrong, but basically it's where if you are used to playing with a particular loadout or squad with your friends, you can bring that exact squad with you with the same character loadouts and builds and everything, and that player that built that build, that friend of yours, will get some rewards. What those look like, who knows, but they'll get some reward for you using their stuff, which is kind of a cool idea. I think that's really interesting. I like. The fact that there's only one thing that's semi-novel and unique is worrisome, but you know what? At least I like that. I like that.
Farewell. We also have the rival taunt system where on the...
Actually, wasn't that a thing in Shadow of War? Or am I just misremembering it? Where like some orcs could be shared basically? Or was that like a fever dream? I feel like this is something I've seen in another game from Warner Brothers. AC Valhalla did have it. You're right. Valhalla did have it where like your what did they call them? It was like basically just a member of your base. I don't know. I'm remembering it from some game. There was some game where you could do something similar. Valhalla did have it in a lesser way, but Shadow of War, you can invade your friend bases. Okay. Yeah, there was something. There's something. I'll maybe it'll come to me. There was another game I'm thinking of that did this kind of thing.
Leaderboards, if you pass your friends or anyone on your friends list who's also playing the game and you beat their score, well, next time they log in, they'll get this kind of funny quiff just to show that, oh yeah, by the way, I beat you.
Home run, baby.
You boot up the game, you're logging in, and then all of a sudden on your screen you get Boomerang giving you the finger.
I think fans are going to have a great time with our remote system. Allowing players to kind of communicate in different ways, really in playful ways. As Rocksteady, as creators, this was another opportunity for us to really engage with our characters, extend the narrative through the player's choices with a very cinematic eye.
Through the game, we offer many customization options and outfits to the player. You start off in the prison, you get your prison garbs, and then you evolve to the Task Force X outfits.
Yeah, right. I was thinking something more fashion forward.
The outfit customization in our game is vast, to say the least.
With this game, Rocksteady will deliver a full story-driven campaign to players, including more cinematics than any previous Arkham game. For players who survived the war against Brainiac's forces and want to keep the adventure going, Rocksteady is ready.
We very much knew we had a story to tell initially, and then we wanted to carry on feeding into that, and then changing up the gameplay to have a game that was going to evolve through post-launch content.
Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League is going to be one of the most generous, player-friendly, post-launch experiences available.
Every season, we will have 2 episodes. Each season, there's going to be a different spin on how you play, and will be heavily themed by a DC villain. So there's many, many layers of influence from the DC world on how you play and what you do.
The seasonal content gets automatically dropped into the game each episode. There's no playable content locked behind a battle pass, and the in-game shop is for cosmetics only.
I appreciate them being very clear with that. That's great. I appreciate that. Cosmetics in the shop, purely cosmetics in the shop, and gameplay footage will be available to everybody. So it doesn't seem like paid expansions, which is good.
Experiences available.
Every season, we will have 2 episodes. Each season, there's going to be a different spin on how you play, and will be heavily themed by a DC villain. So there's many, many layers of influence from the DC world on how you play and what you do.
The seasonal content gets automatically dropped into the game each episode. There's no playable content locked behind a battle pass, and the in-game shop is for cosmetics only.
You'll always be able to go back and play the episodic content. If you want to come back 6 months from now, that'll always be there.
This is a totally player-friendly approach to
episodic content. Okay. So you can come back, say, in 2 years, and you should be able to play through the Joker expansion or season episodes, whatever, and the other content separately. It's not like they're going to delete it or remove it, you know. It's not going to be like Warzone taking away Verdansk. Like, the idea is that Verdansk will always be available, right? I don't know how big these episodes are. That's my question. Like, are the episodes 10 hours of more narrative story content, or is it just kind of like a new map to fight more waves of purple enemies?
To letting you play the content you want to play when you want.
The DC universe is massive, and in most games, you can only see or explore a tiny, tiny piece of it.
I also want to point this out. I mentioned this in my video, and I want to bring it up here just in case you missed it. These else worlds that it looks like they're going to hopefully explain a bit more of. These, like, this is what Dr. Lupo and Shroud and Tarek played in, is they were like warped to these areas and they fought waves and waves of enemies for like 2.5 hours. And this is the same kind of alternative dimension that you go to for all of the tutorials. So the end game, at least what they showed running in real time, the end game is just the same map as the tutorial, which is funny.
But what's really cool about the narrative of Kill the Justice League is there's almost no limit on where we can go.
Celebrating before the game is over.
In his pursuit of trying to recreate his perfect Kolu, Brainiac has been experimenting with some of our favorite DC characters' DNA, creating new worlds in alternate realities. It's these worlds that we call Elseworlds.
Brainiac is a genius of 12th level intelligence, but he's also trying to rebuild this civilization that he misses and is lost, and
where have I seen him from?
There is nothing he won't do to get there.
New Kolu will be reborn.
He's building a model of the multiverse. It's all gathering data.
Is that the guy from like Harry Potter? Is that him? Is that him? It's Malfoy's dad. Is it? I'm bad with actors' names, but I swear to God. Someone's at my door. Lucius Malfoy. That's crazy. I guess, you know, you see him in a movie that was filmed 20 years ago, and so you're like, oh yeah, he still looks that way today. But no, it's like, yeah, time exists. He's aged. It's also weird not seeing him with long blonde hair. I kind of like the long blonde hair. I'm going to be real. This isn't helping anybody with multiverse fatigue. So like, I mean, I think multiverse stuff can be interesting. I'm not opposed to it. It's just really overdone at this point. And my frustration with the multiverse stuff in recent iterations is that it's kind of the get out of jail free card. Exactly, Real Pack. It's like, if you don't want to deal with the drama of having something bad happen in your world and the consequence lasting, you just put it in a multiverse and then you kind of like get out of it. You know, like, oh no, this character died. It's okay though. We're going to go to this universe where they're alive and bring them back. It's like there's just not, like you said, there's no stakes. And there can be, but almost always it's used as a way to just get out of that drama, you know, or the potential outcome of it.
On where we can go.
Celebrating before the game is over.
In his pursuit of trying to recreate his perfect Kolu, Brainiac has been experimenting with some of our favorite DC characters' DNA, creating new worlds in alternate realities. It's these worlds that we call Elseworlds.
Brainiac is a genius of 12th level intelligence, but he's also trying to rebuild this civilization that he misses and is lost, and there is nothing he won't do to get there.
New Kolu will be reborn.
He's building a model of the
Can I oil you up? Yes.
Multiverse. It's all gathering data.
I will unlock your full potential to serve me.
There's different versions of everybody in different universes, and their timelines have just diverged at some point. We've got lots of amazing characters coming up in seasonal play that I'm really excited for players to meet. And the Elseworld Principles gives us lots of flexibility and lots of room to put our own spin on them.
Show us.
So we get to play with a bunch of cool shit from alternate universes, and then what? Retire?
When Season 1 launches this March, you'll be able to unlock a new playable character for your squad, the Joker.
At least buy me dinner first.
The original Arkhamverse Joker
Gen
has been
Z
dead for
Joker.
5 years, but this is a new Elseworlds twist on the villain.
He was part of the Suicide Squad in the Elseworld that he's from, which already shows that he's slightly more cooperative than the previous Joker we've had. But as you get used to him and actually play to him, you realize he's unhinged in a different way.
Not only has he got to figure himself out, but he's figuring out his place in this new world and this new squad.
He hadn't reached supervillain status before Brainiac invaded, so, you know, he's still a bit less experienced.
I think we've taken him back to the kind of more vaudeville roots of Joker. He's masking insecurities with traditional Joker behavior. But deep down, he's not sure who he is yet.
Lock him up. Oh, making new friends after a move is always tough.
As your mission expands deeper into the lore of the DC universe, this new version of the Joker will join your fight with his unique combat, traversal, and weaponry.
His traversal is all based around a rocket-powered umbrella, which he can blast himself into the air, and then uses that to glide around, and then he can actually flip that down to grind along buildings, knocking enemies out of the way.
And the kind of frantic, vertical and horizontal energy that he has means you've always got to be moving and always attacking the enemies.
Yeah, why haven't they been leading with this? That's pretty cool. Like that's cool. Gives me Nightwing glider vibes. Yeah. Yeah, no, show me more of this. This is cool. Should I just like wait to play the game until Joker's out? Is that the case? Oh, and now they're red enemies. They're not purple anymore. They're red now.
The Joker is only the first of the new squad recruits you could meet through the ongoing additions to our game.
Over time, we can build up a library of characters that DC fans might not have expected to see in a video game, like a regular comic book release. I look forward to when the next issue's coming out. And in the same way, I hope people will look forward to the next episode from us.
Whatever it is, I'm down.
New environments, new characters, missions, challenges, gear, and more. All of this free content comes for players who own the game. We can't wait for you to see what the future holds. With Elseworlds, the possibilities are endless.
How do you like that?
Thanks for watching this series. We hope you'll join us for Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, a third-person action shooter where some of the wildest villains of DC Comics join forces to save the world from its greatest heroes.
No, that's mental. We're not doing that.
God help us.
Yeah.
I think players are going to be surprised about the depth to which they can craft a character.
It comes back to player choice and player freedom.
Everything from melee strikes into gunplay, which you could then go into a traversal attack. All of the combat moves flow seamlessly into another.
The squad can be garish, they can be loud, and playing together with your friends in a multiplayer space is a really unique experience that you can't get anywhere else.
Hold on. I want to just hear exactly that sentence again.
The squad can be garish, they can be loud, and playing together.
The squad can be garish and loud, and playing together with your friends in a multiplayer.
With your friends in a multiplayer space is a really unique.
In a multiplayer space is a really unique experience you can't get anywhere else. No. Like what? Playing together in a multiplayer space is an experience you can't get anywhere else. Wrong? Like what are you talking about, dude? That's just not accurate. What do you mean? Here's the exact verbiage. I guess if you want to like everything from melee strikes into gunplay, which you could then go into traversal attacks, all of the combat moves flow seamlessly into another. The squad can be garish, loud, they can be loud, and playing together with your friends in a multiplayer space is a really unique experience that you can't get anywhere else. It's just not true. Like, what do you think other multiplayer games are? Like, what? It's just like, don't you get it, Luke? They invented multiplayer gameplay. It makes me wonder, and to be fair to this guy, I didn't mean to open Photoshop. To be fair to this guy, I wouldn't be surprised if they edited his response and they just cut it together in a clunky way. Because that sounds to me like he was trying to say this thing, you know, and then playing that in multiplayer is a really unique thing. He probably was saying like the really intense narrative paired with this fun multiplayer with your friends is a really unique experience you can't get anywhere else. That might be true, you know, the type of cinematic story that they're putting together with this. But I think they cut the first part off and stitched this part to the end of the discussion about multiplayer and the end game, and so it just doesn't really make sense now. It's just like factually wrong.
Experience that you can't get anywhere else.
What we've done with the Suicide Squad is to really expand those experiences. Not only just one character this time around, we've done it with 4 and we plan to do it with more.
This brings back memories of my old Suicide Squad.
Whether you're in for the main story or exploring what lies beyond, Rocksteady Studios is here to support our players while delivering exciting new experiences. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you at launch February 2nd, 2024.
The thing with all this though, and we have to kind of correct the record on it. So there were rumors for years that Rocksteady had pitched a Superman game and that the Superman game was shut down by Warner Brothers executives And as a result, they were forced to do the Suicide Squad game. That ended up not being true. Jason Schreier was able to debunk that. It apparently started with a couple of articles that were put out by a bunch of journalists reporting on a leak from somebody that had gotten false information and mixed some stuff up. And what had actually happened, I can actually pull it up. What had actually happened, let's see if we can find the original thing. Let's see. What they've been doing from 2015 to now. So he reports it. At the end of 2016, a Suicide Squad game at Warner Brothers Studio in Montreal was canceled, and the property was subsequently given to Rocksteady, which began working on current iterations of the game in 2017. So they have been working on this for approaching 7 years. Okay. But what did they do between that? Well, they made that Arkham VR game. As he says, in reality, Rocksteady never pitched or worked on a Superman game, according to people familiar with the game's strategy or the company's strategy over the last decade. Following the release of Arkham Knight in 2015, they worked on the VR game, which was like an hour long. It was very, very short. I played it. We did a video on the main channel about it. There's just not much to say about it. And then after that, they worked on an unannounced multiplayer game set in an original franchise, which has not been previously reported on, which he's now reporting on. So what's fascinating is that this seemingly, they were working on a multiplayer game of their own free will, seemingly, before working on the version of it for Suicide Squad and doing this. So the uncomfortable reality for a lot of us Rocksteady fans is that after Arkham Knight and Batman Arkham VR, it seems that they were just kind of wanting to do something different. They were wanting to do a more multiplayer live service style game, and this is what they're choosing to do. So a lot of people are like, no. They want to go back to making Arkham. You don't know that. You don't know that. This seems like the kind of game they've wanted to make and that they've been working towards making. So it doesn't seem to line up. Doesn't seem to line up. Free seasonal content. Roadmap for season 1 is out now. New weapons, all this stuff in March, all for the low price of free for anyone who bought it for $70. As they say, so new boss fights and enemy variants. So looks like Green Lantern will be altered and a new variant of Superman for a boss fight, I guess. Different weapon skins. 2 episodes. It looks like Two-Face and Scarecrow. New Riddler content, so new puzzles and stuff. A playable environment. So it looks like it's a single map, basically, that you do missions in. You fight waves of enemies in. Like, my question is how much narrative stuff comes with it, you know? Is it like the episodes, are those a 30-minute thing, or are those a little more elaborate? Is there a good amount more content there? Because if it's like what we saw with Shroud and Dr. Lupo and stuff, if it's just, let's see, Dr. Lupo, Suicide Squad, if it's just more and more of this, like fighting the same waves of enemies.
Dude, this thing's gross. It's so good.
But this time in like a clown-based environment, I don't know if that's enough to like keep me going. Because what they're saying is it's a new environment. So you'd be doing these missions, these Elseworld missions in the clown world, I guess, but maybe with Joker as a playable character as well. And, you know, it's just, I don't know, man. Endless fill the bar quest. Well, you want to know what's funny? My video talking about this now has more views than the stream itself from Dr. Lupo. Like, and to be fair, this number that you see on this page is not the accurate number. It's usually held back a good amount. So it's not even like fully up to date. So, man, it's just their approach has been interesting. Let's just say that. I insist, if they were able to like get people like me who are more skeptical of the game and convince us with, extended look at the game or something like that, that would do way more. If I came on stream, granted, if I came on stream and I was like, guys, the game's actually really good, there would be people calling me like, oh, he got paid off. People would be saying that all the time. But I do think that if they were able to convince people that have not been convinced yet, it would do a whole hell of a lot more than just having more of the fanboys go like, oh yeah, actually it looks really good still. It's like, yeah, we know you like it. Like nobody's shocked there. Like, oh my God, the fanboy likes it. I'm so surprised. Shocked. Stunned, dare I say. Stunned. Let's see. If you came on stream, we'd call you DSP. Okay, you got me. Okay. Yep. And you know what? I'd have to laugh. I'd have to laugh about that. Let's be honest. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. Okay. Jesus Christ. Okay, that was funny. That was funny. I'll give you that. Babe, can you name one successful $70 live service game? Can anyone in chat name a $70 live service game? I don't know. None pop off. Well, I guess you could say Call of Duty, right? Because Call of Duty, but it's also like Warzone's free to play, but the multiplayer isn't, I think. So I guess you could say Call of Duty. Destiny, because you have to buy that. Normally it's on sale for a lot less than 70 though. Fallout 76. Well, it's also Fallout 76 is complicated because it's on Game Pass, so it's like, and it's also on sale all the time. I think you'd have to look at like Call of Duty, but they're definitely rare. They're not super commonly
Arrow
successful,
28 donated $4.99 through Super Chat. Luke, I watched the Grounded documentary. I've never wanted to be a game dev more lol. I'm foaming out the mouth to watch part 2.
Dude, I told you. And yeah, if anybody out there's not seen the Grounded documentary, it will make you appreciate game development so much more. And The Last of Us a lot more. And if you've watched that one and you still have not seen Raising Kratos, go watch that. It's similar, but it's on the development of God of War 2018. That one's fantastic as well. And yeah, they're about to launch the part 2 documentary, which is going to be awesome. It's going to be fantastic. Oh yeah, I guess FIFA, Madden, all of those would count. It seems like if your live service game is successful for $70, you're like one of the top performing games in the world. But there's no like moderately successful live service game. Either it's printing money or it's not. I don't think there was one for Ghost of Tsushima, was there? I think there were small dev vlogs or blogs or whatever, but I don't think that there was like one huge documentary. I might be mistaken. If I'm mistaken, I need to go watch that. Let's see. And Corey also, it's going to read in a second. Yeah.
Corey Sutton donated £5 through Super Chat. So many live viewers. It's nice to see your channel grow. You do great work.
Well, thank you, Corey. I appreciate you. Yeah, no, it's, I'm very thankful. Very #blessed. And then the viewership plummets. Everyone's like, oh my God, I can't. Oh man. I would say Sea of Thieves sits between flop and printing money, actually. I don't actually know how much. Has there been any reporting on Sea of Thieves income? Because they still make content for it all the time. But again, like with Game Pass titles, it's really tough to gauge, like, is this successful or is this just being kept on life support? It's very tough to figure out. So I honestly don't know. Sea of Thieves. Maybe player counts? Maybe? I mean, this is through Steam specifically. And so like 12,000 people were playing an hour ago, and that's through Steam. That's not even on Xbox. 24-hour peak was 17-ish thousand. That's still pretty good for a game that's been out for what? 7 years, 6-7 years, I think. Or maybe it's younger than that. I remember it being younger than I thought it was. But still, it's years old. It looks like it goes through some pretty varied peaks. So June of 2020, it dips down into like averages around 8,000, but it seems like there's at the very least 8,000 people that are playing it very regularly. Wayfinder has like 200 people. I love Sea of Thieves. Big update on Tuesday. Check again then. Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, I really like Sea of Thieves. My thing is like, I've always found the questing and activity boards and things like that really needlessly vague and difficult to engage with. Like, I think that they could have an overhaul to how missions and quests and things are handed out. Can you tell I used to own a bearded dragon? These ads are still coming up for me selling tubia roaches. So like I've always been kind of frustrated by that. But whenever I play with Jacob is like a Sea of Thieves wizard. And so he's able to come in and kind of help me figure out what we should do for like a 3-hour session. We always have a great time. It's just raw fun. Like it's just goofy, not that serious. The sailing mechanics are great. I do really like it. It's only funny if you have a friend who knows what they're doing. It makes it much more approachable. Yeah, when you have a friend who knows what they're doing. Absolutely. Do you think Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League is dead if Elden Ring DLC comes out in February? No, because I don't think that they're appealing necessarily to the same player base. The group of players that like Suicide Squad is trying to win over are the people that liked Marvel's Avengers, are the people that have been playing games like that and are looking for the next fix, especially superhero fans. And I think that they will find some success. My stance has always been that I think Suicide Squad will have a very successful first week or two. I think a lot of people will buy it for $70 and will play the story. But I think then they're going to put it down and they're not going to touch it again. And then because it's a live service game, it's going to die out just a couple of months after launch. They'll keep pumping out content for about a year and a half, and then they'll shut it down. That's my prediction. That's my stance. That's what I think is going to happen based on what I've seen. But I do think that it will sell decently well at launch. Because the game shows well, especially the trailers. When people see the cutscenes, when people see the characters interacting, they think that it looks like sort of a looter shooter Arkham Knight. And that I think is appealing to a lot of people. But I don't think that it's going to drive thousands of hours of content. Like the fact that the viewer base that was watching these streamers play it just the other day, the fact that they were already getting bored within 3 hours of playing it is a very bad sign, because live service games require streamers it requires them to keep the game alive and the engagement high. And so if they are already looking to kind of move on and do something else, that's a problem. I mean, I would have expected the streams for playing these games early would have way more engagement than they actually have. Like Shroud, you guys were saying Shroud is normally around like 20,000 concurrent viewers. At the time that was happening, he was down like for the whole stream around 14. Dr. Lupo, like I said, my video discussing their gameplay has done not way better. It's doing better than the stream that was 3 hours long for their communities, and they have millions of followers. You know, like it's just crazy. Oh, somebody triggered? I don't even know. Oh no, Deku's a troll, guys. You guys, he comes in here and does this all the time, and you guys keep buying into it. He did it last week too. It's honestly, it's a little funny, which is why I'm fine with it. Like it's just been funny. But yeah, it's a whole thing. It's a whole thing. Yeah, if somebody goes to the trouble of finding the COVID mask emoji, they're trolling, okay? Nobody who's actually upset goes and finds the COVID mask emoji, okay? When typing a message. Like, nobody would do that if they're actually big mad, you know? Oh, man. Let's just be completely honest with ourselves, okay? Okay. Have I seen the trailer for the Hitman movie? I think it dropped a long time ago. Or if it's a newer one, no. But if it's one from a while back, then yeah. Did I try Prince of Persia? I did. And it's very good. It didn't really fit with like the main channel to do a video on. It's more niche. But it really is that good. It's very, very good. Very, very good. Okay. Nice to see you, Luke. Need that big BG3 critique. Dude, we're working on it. No Palworld videos, Luke. I had another video that was supposed to go up today, but it looks like it's being delayed for days of playing content for the Wii. Hold on. I just have to reply to this. At this point, okay, we just got approval. Okay. Sorry. It's always tricky when you're waiting for approval over a weekend because one person has to give a thumbs up and you have to wait for them to check their email and see it. And it's just like, it's a whole thing. Okay. Yeah. How do you guys feel about Gen Z Joker? How do you guys feel about it? Honestly, I think it's surprising to hear that they're going with a Joker design that is insecure and like it sounds like they are going for like a pretty interesting narrative arc where like, oh, this version of the Joker doesn't know who he is yet. So he's trying to figure out what kind of villain he is. Okay. But if it's going to be like 30 minutes of cutscenes and then nothing, that's a real waste. And I think it's just going to come off as a lamer version of Joker. But if you're going to do like a 5-hour narrative thing where there's lots of content and a full story arc, then I'm in. You could do some interesting stuff with it, but it's just not really clear. It's not really clear. But this is why we look in other communities. Miller Ross, a data miner, he's done reporting on the game. He actually reported that the Joker was going to be a playable character well ahead of time, which is why I've been referencing it for a handful of weeks, because it's been known from data mined files this was going to be a thing. And a lot of people are saying like he looks quite good. Is there any new audio of the new Joker interacting with Batman? Curious how that will play out. Not gonna lie, I kind of like Ellsworth's Joker. He's terrifying. I actually really like it. Wonder who voiced him. Cooked, which I think means good. I'm not really sure. This game is setting standard on what live service games need to be. Let me stop playing and just pre-order this. Persona 3 can wait. New face, who dis? Why is he lanky? I mean, I know Arkham Joker was always quite skinny, but this looks just a bit too unnatural. I don't know. The one from Arkham was like impossibly lanky. An Elseworlds version of Joker will be the first post-launch character coming to Suicide Squad game. This, along with all DLC characters for the game, will be free, which again I think is great. That's awesome. They're building it off of cosmetics and those sales, and that might be enough to push it over. I do love his movement. I think he moves really cool, and I think that alone could be interesting. I do think it's going to probably cause problems when the season launches because everybody's just going to play Joker, but that might be fine. Who knows? But again, like the core frustration I have is just that all of the missions so far are just shooting purple enemies with these shields. Like they've shown a boss fight, and the people that played the boss fight were really, really underwhelmed. So I'm just curious how they're going to shake it up, but they haven't really shown anything. In the roadmap, they show that there's going to be new boss fights and enemy variants. I want to see that. Like I want to see the boss fights. I know they don't want to really spoil it, but I want to see like the boss fights, because the shooting purple enemies I was tired of just after playing the alpha. So I want to see what the boss fights are like. And they say 3 new playable characters through the other seasons. We know who I believe 2 of them are. The last one I think is still up in the air, but they have a pretty good idea of who it probably is based on the data mine stuff. New weapons, themed gear sets, activities, mid-season updates, whatever that means, and 3 new playable environments. The environments look like decently large, maybe like a small district in one of the Arkham games, but it seems like these are just one of the places you go to while doing those Elseworld missions to grind higher and higher and get better and better stuff. So we'll see. We'll see. I'm not sure. I'm honestly not sure. I'm open to it. I want it to be great. I know that's surprising to people, but I really hope it's awesome. As of right now, though, I just am not. I'm not sold on it. When people are like, lol, Luke's saying all this, and we all know he's still going to play it. You realize my job is to play these games and like offer my opinions on them, right? Like, you realize that? Like, it's literally what I do for a living. So yeah, I plan on playing it, and I hope that me spending money on the game to be able to play it, assuming they don't send access codes, if it's awesome, I can convince more people to buy it, and if it sucks, I can prevent them from wasting their money.
Hey Luke, lots of love from India.
Howdy.
Could you shed some insight on the upcoming MOBA AOV, Clash of Titans, India version? For 2024.
MOBA AOV Clash of Titans India version. I mean, I will be honest. I have no idea. I won't like lie to you or pretend like I know what I'm referencing here. Clash of Titan to be new launch of Arena and Valor in India in a new get-up setup. Arena of Valor, independent branch for India only community. So it seems like just a separate branch to be allowed in India that's going to be like completely separate. I don't really know anything about it. I'd have to do some digging. If anybody in chat knows about it, you should put that in chat for our friend here. But I honestly don't know anything about it. Yeah, I don't know. If I tried to ramble about it, I'd just be making it up as I go along. Which, to be fair, wouldn't be that different than normal, but wouldn't be that helpful. But thank you for the super chat. I wish I had more to say. I'm just honestly not sure. I'm not sure. We're forcing you to play this horrible game. Well, Kingdom Hearts, like, it's just funny because people think that it's like a got ya, you're gonna play the game anyways, even though you don't like it. It's like, yeah. You know what other games I've played, even though I didn't like them? Like Gollum. I played the King Kong game. Like, yes, I've played games that are not very good because like it's my job to report on these things. Like, that's what I do. And so I report on awesome games and I report on terrible games. And sometimes I'll offer my opinion on games that I didn't think that I'd like, that I ended up really liking. And Like Palworld is actually a great example. I don't normally like these survival games where it's like, oh, you got to balance your hunger levels, and then it's all about crafting and grinding the crafting materials and this and that. But I've actually had a really, really, really good time with it. Really have. And I did not expect to really enjoy it that much, but I have. And I think, that's an instance where I didn't expect to like it, and I have enjoyed it. And we'll get a video out on it, like, no doubt. Potentially tomorrow morning, but
Sean Dara
Sean,
donated
thank you.
10 Australian dollars through Super Chat. Anyone use WeMod? Mine is not opening, just asking if anyone else uses it. Oh, and Luke, any sign of parcel?
Not yet. I will be going to check the mailbox, I believe later today or tomorrow morning. So we'll see. I haven't gotten any emails that it's arrived yet though. And normally when I get a box at my mailbox, they send me an email being like, ooh, a package arrived for you. So, to come and pick it up, but I've not gotten anything yet, but I will be checking later today / tomorrow morning. So I'm keeping an eye on it. And thank you again for the super chat. Appreciate you. And, as for WeMod, I'm honestly, it's been a long time since I used WeMod. I really don't know. It's just not updating. Yeah, I don't know. Did I check my spam today? I did not. Should I check my spam folder? So anybody new here that doesn't know what that's a reference to, I was invited to the Last of Us red carpet event, and I straight up missed it because I didn't check my spam folder, which really hurts. Like, imagine being invited to a red carpet event to like meet Pedro Pascal and Bella Ramsey and Neil Druckmann and those guys. You have the chance to go to the red carpet and you miss it because it was in your spam folder, and you'll only see it like a day after the event happened. Talk about like, oh, my heart. Like, just immediate heartburn and pain. And that is exactly what happened. So we made it an emote, a whole thing. And now we kind of own it. It's funny. And it makes me feel sad. So I have to check this all the time. There's a very, very fake email from someone pretending to be, this is in my personal email, so I won't show it. But it's from a person pretending to be Elon Musk offering me a free, okay, it's misspelled, but it's, I think it's a solar wall. So yeah, that's cool. Elon, he got my info. He's emailing me. Wow. The thing is, though, with a lot of these spam emails, they have to work. Surely. Let's see. Ooh, I also heard back from somebody about the swatting thing that happened. I should reply to this real quick. How's it okay? Through public means. With potential info. Okay. Okay. Shout out to the deputy for emailing me back at 3 a.m. That's That's baller. That's baller. We are really hoping. We're really hoping we can catch this guy. We're really hoping. Fingers crossed. So we shall see. Okay, let me catch up on these things now that that's happened. Spam folder, double check that. Start selling on TikTok shop. Oh wow, who knew? Yeah. No. Okay. Nothing really there. No biggie. No biggie. Okay. Okay, let me catch up on these real quick. Sorry for all that. Super fun. Let's see. We saw that one from Sean. Aditya, thank you for the super chat. Hey Luke, love from India. You only watch to gaming videos, or would you like to watch Indian movie trailer just for fun? If I would suggest, the only thing with movie trailers I'm particularly worried about is copyright stuff, because I've been getting slammed with copyright stuff for even like just listening to a segment of something. Like we were on stream and I pulled up a video in the wrong browser, so it didn't have my YouTube premium thing, so it played the ad, and the ad got the whole 3 or 4 hour stream copyright struck and demonetized and everything over something as stupid as an ad playing, which seems like that shouldn't be allowed, but it is. So I'm anxious about
Geo donated $5
Oh,
through Super
Expecto.
Chat. Lumos to you and Dafam.
Lumos to you, my friend. Lumos to you. Thank you guys. If you guys are not familiar with Expecto Go, fellow YouTuber, did some great coverage of like Hogwarts Legacy and lots of emails and all of the stuff surrounding Harry Potter news. So you should go check out Expecto. A very talented creator. And thank you for the super chat, my friend. Very nice. Let's see. And M1NG5E, thank you also for the other super chat. Could you actually check out that game, Arena of Valor Original, and check the developer Actos SG, who has brought it to India? What are they doing? Who are they? And I'm Mingle. Oh, it's Mingle. Okay, that's what. Okay, I should have read that part first. Yeah, I can pull that up. I can do Arena of Valor. I can do some digging on that. Maybe we talk about it in the next stream, because it looks like a 5v5 MOBA. But these are not genres of games I typically play, so I'm really not familiar with them. Because I've tried playing MOBAs, but last time I tried playing like League, I went into a game as a noob, and if you guys don't know how they handle noobs, it's not great. They don't like you. So I've never had a tremendous experience in MOBA, because I always start as a noob, and then everybody's like so toxic that I'm like, I'm good. So I go off and I do something else. It's like a whole thing. It's a whole thing. Yeah, I'm just not really familiar with it. Okay. But I will keep that tab open. Oh my God. Oh, okay. All right. Oh my God, dude, I can't even pull up Twitter. Because it's all just toxic stuff about Palworld. Like, I'm just like, can we chill? Like, Jesus. Okay. Sorry, everything's like super scattered right now. I hate the X algorithm right now. It's so it's better than it was initially. Like right after Elon got it, it was super toxic because it was just a bunch of like kill videos. Did you guys have that? Where like all of a sudden your timeline was just filled of videos of people getting like brutally murdered, and it was horrible. It was actually like very damaging. It was like horrifying. I remember I was just scrolling one day and then there was just a video of a guy shooting a homeless dude. And I was like, what is happening? What? Like, it blew my mind. That was just like on the casual timeline. And it's better now. I don't get that stuff anymore, but it seems like the timeline is focused on a single topic and that's the only stuff that gets shown. And if it's a topic that you're just kind of annoyed by, it's just, there's no reason to be on the platform. It's just crazy. Let's see. Yours is filled with ads for crypto people. Oh, that's funny because mine isn't. So I wonder what has it thinking that you would like crypto stuff. That's funny. Interesting. Yeah, Twitter being toxic. Say it ain't so. Yeah, for real. Yeah, it's a whole thing. Oh yeah, Skrill, we did watch it. We just watched it. Let's see. Okay. Yeah, I think the Suicide Squad reveal, like I said, I think that the Joker's movement looks really good. I think that the movement looks really good, but I don't think, like, I'm not clear on the rest of it. Like, Joe Raptor posted this highlight. He got his logo on it, but it's like, I think the movement looks good. It's still the same missions though, like, except now they're green and red. Yeah, it looks smoother. I like how he moves and I like that, but it's still the same game. It's not like it magically changes. So in the past with games like this that have a new character that's fun to move around with, it's fun for like the first hour or two as you get used to them, but then it's about the gameplay, it's about the mission design and the mission structures and how they actually change enemy variety and stuff like that. And they haven't really explained that element. And the stuff we saw in that 3-hour stream showing the end game was just more of this, more of the same, of these purple enemies shooting at you with different status effects applied to make it more difficult, bigger health pools, more shield and stuff like that. But it didn't seem like there was anything that different, and that's why it's not really clear long term how this works. Because I agree, movement wise, top notch. I think he's probably one of the coolest looking characters in terms of movement, but there's another question about it. This is what Miller says is the first season or first year. Okay, you ready for this? Season 1, Joker. Season 2, Victoria Fries, Mrs. Freeze. Season 3, Zoe Lawton or Lawless. And Season 4, Slade, Wilson, Deathstroke. Beyond that, I've seen Killer Clock. That would be a very different game. Killer Croc, Katana, and a couple of others that seem to be earmarked for future playable characters. And he's been correct about Joker so far and a bunch of other stuff, so it wouldn't surprise me if Miller's also right about this as well. No, she's a multiverse variant of Victor himself. She's married to her wife, Nora, who is, as far as I know, suffering from the same terminal illness common to her storyline and is cryogenically frozen by Victoria until she can find a cure. I had never heard of Mrs. Freeze, of alternative variant. Is this a thing or did they write this? It is apparently a thing. I may be cold-blooded, but I'm not cold-hearted. Wow. Wow, that's something else. What a line. What a line. Okay, well, there you go. Wow, okay. Okay. I don't know what to do with that now. I'm kind of at a loss. So there we go. So that's a thing. That's a thing. And apparently in this variant, she's a multiverse variant of Victor himself. So she's going to be married to Nora. Dude, can you just buckle up for how toxic everything's going to be around that? People lost their minds when it was fully revealed that Ellie was gay. And they're like, what? That's not God's way. And lost their minds. So just wait. And that was like signaled years before in the first game. So like, I would not be surprised at all if this gets really, really toxic. If this is accurate and like Victoria Freeze, people are like, what? It's a female Mr. Freeze? People are going to lose their minds about that and then find out that she's also gay. People are going to lose their minds as well. Like, it's going to get so toxic so quickly. Zoe Lawton, Prime Earth. Batman was never here. It was my father. It was all my father. He did it. Come after me. Stopped Cobra. He saved me. He's a hero. I don't really see why that's a... The last quote was great. This quote is like, meh. I guess I'm just not really familiar with who this is, but okay. But also from the comic books. Released in 2016. Okay. Surely Arkham Croc is too massive to be functionally playable, so I have to assume it's a multiverse variant. Maybe it's impossible to say. All I've seen is the name. Are there any possible hints towards Red Hood being playable? Not that I've seen, but he's a common request. I'm sure his name is on a whiteboard at Rocksteady as we speak. Are like different variants of those four characters based on the locations we're going to get in future seasons. Joker and Victoria are multiversal, and to the best of my knowledge, Zoe and Slade are not, so it's a 50-50 split. Could they have gotten this Killer Frost instead of a gender swapped Mr. Freeze? No. Okay. I don't know, man. I don't know. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be very, very interesting to see how all of this plays out. I'm sticking with my stance. I think it's going to have a successful first week or two, and then I think it's going to die out pretty quick. That's my stance. Let's see. Jackson, you guys know as JV, actually does look really good. The more I see of this game, the more I think it could be decent. It's funny, I'm the opposite. Joe Raptor, I'm still conflicted. I think playing through the campaign will be really fun for the story and set pieces, but not convinced yet that the gameplay loop will be entertaining for a long time. We will see next week. We'll see. We'll see, guys. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. It's going to be fascinating. Okay. When are you going to play Palworld? Oh, I played it some last night. Yeah. I played it some last night. It was good. It was good. I'm going to play it more. We're going to try to get a video up tomorrow, I think. So it'll be good. I'm still really confused why DC and Warner keep trying to push Suicide Squad, like 2 movies, some TV spin-offs, and now a game. I just don't kind of care about them. I think it was the first taste of decent success. Like the Zack Snyder stuff has just had troubles consistently, and then the reboots, or not reboots, the push for like Aquaman also was not super successful. Because didn't that second one just come out? I don't actually know, which is part of the problem. Okay, let's do this. Aquaman 2 opens to 38 to 40 million in US, but swims to 80 million overseas. Clever. Let Let's see. Lost Kingdom is headed for one of the lowest starts in the history of the DC Cinematic Universe with a projected 4-day domestic of 38 to 40. Okay, took an 80 from 72 markets, including a promising 30.4 million in China, where it turned in the biggest start of the year for a Hollywood superhero epic. A big budget tentpole, reteaming Wan and star Jason Momoa, has been largely rebuked by critics and only earned a B. In 2018, the first Aquaman was the king of the year and holiday when swimming to a 3-day opening of 67.9 million over December 21st to 23rd. Through Christmas, a Tuesday that year, its domestic tally was a rousing 105 million. It went on to make 1.15 billion globally, the best showing ever for a DCEU title, not adjusted for inflation. So it seems like the second movie didn't do too hot, and the first movie did very, very well. Interesting. And then Suicide Squad. Profit. Let's see. Suicide Squad was a box office success, grossing 325 million in the US and 421 for 746 total globally against a production budget, including advertising, of 325. And that was the reboot, I believe. No, that's the 2016 movie. That's the original. So with that, let's see, the reboot, did it really do that bad? I thought the reboot did better. Those numbers can't be right then, because it's saying worldwide it only did 167. Or is that the opening week? It's got to be. It's got to be. That just can't be right. 2021. No way it did that bad. I thought it was way more successful than that. Came out during COVID. Oh, well, but it was late COVID, because COVID was mostly 2020, wasn't it? Oh, it was one of those HBO Max movies. Oh, you're right. Yeah, no, straight up. Real talk. Look here, look, listen. So I guess that kind of conflicts it. That makes it complicated. So who knows how it would have done if it was just fully in theaters. But the original 2016 movie seems to have done decently well. And that, I think, is what greenlit most of this. Because the 2016 movie made money, even if it was kind of teased for being a little bit of a mess. And I mean, yeah, they made Birds of Prey. They did Gotham City Sirens, which was something that was shut down, it looks like. They were working on a Deadshot film and then a Harley Quinn spinoff film. So it was successful. And this released in August of 2016, and then they greenlit. You remember they were working on a 2016, they were working on a Suicide Squad game at the Montreal studio, and then that got canceled or put on ice or whatever, and then they gave it to Rocksteady in early 2017. So after this movie was seemingly making money, they passed it over to Rocksteady. They started working on it, and it just goes to show you, I mean, it's a tough thing with deciding to make a video game on a big franchise after it releases, because it takes like 6-7 years to make a game that's big and elaborate, and here we are. Critically, the Suicide Squad 2021 film was a success. Financially, it didn't do well due to COVID and Warner Brother being stupid and releasing the movie on streaming the same day. Yeah, if I remember it, I think we saw it through streaming. I don't think we watched it through the movie theaters. I think, yeah. A lot of people, I think, did the same thing. Could have made a lot more money if they put it in theaters. Tell you what. Tell you what. You want to know the saddest thing going on right now, though? You want to know the saddest thing? Helldivers 2 is just being totally ignored by like everybody. Nobody's talking about it. which could be good. Maybe all of the attention is getting diverted to Suicide Squad, so they're not going to have to deal with any of the drama around live service game like resistance. But I do feel kind of bad that they're just not getting any attention at all. Like at all. I remember the first time I saw Suicide Squad 2016, we went to the theater and the projector like started melting during the showing. So they kicked us all out and we had to go see a separate timing. They gave us our ticket and our money back. But yeah, like the projector started to break down and melt some part of it. The employee, like we just noticed that the screen froze and then got like distorted. And then an employee came in and was like, so part of the projector's melting, so we have to send everybody out. You get free tickets. It was like a whole thing. It's the only time I've ever been kicked out of a movie. It's the only time, yeah. Yeah, we saw the reveal of Joker. Joker looks sick. The movement looks great. Really does. What's your opinion on video game prices going up to 100? It's a good question. I guess we can do this. New segment. So a lot of the drama that's also going on like right now is with the prospect of game prices rising even more, because just a few years ago, video games were $60 for AAA games. And then deluxe editions were maybe a little more. Early access might cost you a little more, but AAA games were $60. And then with the release of the PS5 and Series X, they saw an opportunity, specifically Take-Two. I think it was NBA was the first game to do it, but they sold it for $70. And they were like, this game is sufficiently awesome and big enough that you should pay more, especially with inflation. Because if you don't know how inflation works, pretty much whenever the government prints a large amount of money, inflation becomes a problem because the supply of the money goes up. So it's worth less overall. And so your money now, what you could have bought with $10 a year ago, now costs you $12 or $13 because it costs you more for the same thing. Pretty straightforward, right? So their argument was like, if we just look up inflation calculator, I can show you like, this is the argument from the companies that are doing this. Okay. If we go 2019, enter a value. And we say $60 and we go to like 2022, which is the soonest they can do it. You can see that it calculates roughly based off of cost of living and trying to figure out what the inflation rate is. It would be worth roughly $68.68. And there's other calculators that also, it depends on what you're using to calculate the inflation rate. But if we just go 60 in 2019 to December of 23, like $73. So the companies say, because the dollar is worth less now in the States, at least, and this is true internationally too, because a lot of companies and countries, everything ties back to the US dollar. Not all of them, but a lot of them do. So they say, oh, well, clearly, so $60 we got in 2019 for a AAA game. Now $73 is the equivalent amount for that value, right? So for us to not do it would be the equivalent of losing money. And that's not fair, because we want more and we need to pay our bills, and we got to be able to do that. And it doesn't work if we're getting less and less each copy. So they said that raising the price to 60 or to 70 from 60 was tantamount to just keeping the price of games in line with inflation. Now, people will say, well, but my salary hasn't risen with inflation. My income hasn't risen with inflation. All of my other costs have risen with inflation. So it's still screwing me over. I agree. Inflation is terrible and can cause people to not afford housing. It can cause people to not be able to afford the car that they currently drive, or to be able to afford all these other things that they need to exist and function in a modern society. I agree all of those are problems. Totally agree. But at the same time, that's also why these companies are saying that they need to raise the price to keep it in line with inflation, because all of these games were greenlit expecting to make X amount of money in terms of value to pay employees. And if now they need to be able to pay employees more, to be able to pay for increased costs of renting the office space and paying for all the hardware, all of these other costs, they need to make the amount adjusted for inflation. That's their argument, okay? So raising the price of games to $70, I thought was unfortunate. I would like cheaper games for everybody, but because effectively if they hadn't raised the price, it would effectively be a discount on the game in terms of actual buying power. But I understand why they chose to do it, okay? I understand. I get it. The prospect though of people saying like, oh, we're going to raise the price of games to $100. So like people have been saying GTA 6 is going to cost $150 for the base game. I don't see any evidence for that. I don't see them discussing that. I don't think that they will do that. What I think they will do is it'll be $70 for the base game, and they'll do like 5 to 7 day early access for like $150 version or $120 version. And so everybody's basically going to pay $120 for the game. I think that's what they're going to do. And it avoids the drama of raising the price for the base game so much, but you also still basically get the benefits of everybody buying the game at full price. So you end up, it's kind of a win-win basically. Because let's be real, most people are still going to be paying that amount. Okay. Do I have I have a lot of confidence, hopefully, in the public to not reward such price hikes. Like, I think you can see with something like Palworld, the game is priced at $27 or it's on Game Pass. And at $27, I think a lot of people come in and they go and are like, okay, that's a fair price for what's being offered. They pay it and they're happy with their purchase. I think if you were to charge $100 for Palworld, it wouldn't sell anywhere near as well. And I think that that's because the market kind of adjusts. And this is where perhaps this is controversial of me to say. I think a lot of people are actually willing to spend a lot more on games if the game is big and good enough. I think it's reasonable to say that for GTA 6, people would pay $150. I think if they did price it at $150 and didn't have a $70 version, I think you would be shocked at how many people pay the full price for it. Because it's GTA freaking 6. Now, does everybody get away with that? No. I think if like EA came out with a game, or if Ubisoft dropped a game at $150, I don't think it would sell very well. It would only really work for games that are that big and that crazy that people would be willing to do it. Like The Witcher 4 probably does that well. Whatever the next Zelda game is, they could probably charge $150 and get away with it. Let's just be completely honest here. There would be people that would hold out and wait for sales, but I think you'd be surprised at how many people would still buy it. They would save up for months and they'd buy it because it's such a huge game. I really do think that. And you can see it, I would argue, in the fact that people are willing to buy deluxe editions to begin with. Like Starfield generated crazy amounts of revenue on Steam despite being available on Game Pass.
Daniel Young is now a red flag.
Almost exclusively through Deluxe.
How much have you spent on your computer, if you don't mind me asking?
Daniel, this computer, this is going to piss you off. I didn't pay for this computer. This was sponsored and provided by Apex Gaming PCs. So Apex hooked me up with this, built it, designed it, and did everything for it. My understanding, though, is if you were to go and buy everything that's in this at market rate and put it together yourself, everything that's in here would cost you probably around $5,000. That's my understanding. You probably get stuff on sale, on discount. I have no doubt about that. But all of the SSDs, all the extra stuff that's crammed in here would cost you a pretty penny. To be clear, nobody needs this. Nobody should get this. Nobody needs a $5,000 computer to play video games, okay? Nobody needs that. Don't go out and spend that. I didn't even go out and spend that money. I got it for free, okay? Don't. Because I know what you're thinking. Don't, okay? What camera am I using right now? It's an FX30 is what it's called. It's one of the few really noticeable upgrades I've made to the studio and videos in the last however long. Do I have a code? A code for what? Code for what? I couldn't even if I wanted to. Oh man, that's crazy. Yeah, it's, to be clear, like for my particular use case, it's nice because when I make videos on games, I can crank it absolutely to the max and show what the game looks like in its best possible situation. But yeah. How do you stream your FX30 for streams? I have a Blackmagic capture card. I forget the exact name of it, but it's from Blackmagic, the company, and they allow you to do 4K 60, which is great. So the PC comes in at 4K 60, or the camera comes into the PC at 4K 60, which is nice because then we have the full 60 frames and we also have very sharp video. And it also allows me to do like cropped shots like this, where this is zoomed in on this frame. Look how much it's zooming in, that much. Normally this would be super blurry on like a 1080p camera because it's just not sharp enough, but because it's a 4K camera, it still looks very, very good even when zoomed in like that. And you could zoom in even more. I mean, you could really get swifty with it. I can do this. Like, still very remarkably sharp for being zoomed in and cropped this much, right? Like, it's a nice camera. So that's one thing that I will say. The camera was a solid upgrade. The camera was a solid upgrade. Very few people need a camera this nice, but I do say it. I think it's very visible. Like people can definitely notice it for sure. Close up. Yeah. Just casually. And then I saw this. And then I heard that Suicide Squad was going to have a year of post-launch content, and that all the developers that made it really successful originally, Rocksteady, they're leaving to go work at this new company to make a separate game. I think it works. The babe cam. Jesus. What was the first thing in the background you got? Rulers Forever? Out of everything that's on the shelves right now, what is the oldest thing back there? I mean, I've had a bunch of these books for ages, but that's not really an exciting answer. Same with the Witcher books behind me right there. So I've had those for ages. The play button, I think I got in like 2019, like April of 2019 is when I got that. It might actually be the play button is the thing I've had the longest, because that's the collector's edition for Forbidden West, the Order 1886, but I got that secondhand from somebody. Elden Ring, Lego Titanic, we built on stream, so it was before that, or it was after the play button. And then Assassin's Creed Valhalla, which was 2020, Callisto Protocol, Cyberpunk 2020, The Last of Us Part 2 2020, Lego Pyramid, got that when we were in our a house ago, so that was before, no, that was after the play button. The Skull was after, Lego Sets Warhammer. Some of these books were around before that. That's from recently, and then the books. So I think the play button is actually the thing I've had the longest. Back there. When does Kojima arrive? I have to order a custom one because the company I tried to order it from contacted me. I was like, we actually need more for shipping. I was like, okay. They're allegedly a US-based company. They wanted $80 to ship me cardboard. It's like, no, we're not doing that. $80 for shipping cardboard to me? Are you done? We're not doing that. What am I drinking? I'm drinking coffee. We finally got an espresso, and it's very good. And it's helped us actually kick our habit of going to get coffee. Because we had a problem where we were going, and like, it was outrageous. Because we'd go get coffee from a local coffee shop, and it was just bad. Like, we were racking up a lot, and I was like, Nikki, we gotta shake this. This is bad. And so we finally shook it. We got the Nespresso, and the coffee's so good, we haven't even had the urge to go get coffee. It actually cracked our addiction. So we just moved to a different addiction. Also, your lighting is great. Freddie Wong would be jealous. Oh, really? Oh, Freddie Wong. Dude, I have been watching Freddie Wong for so long. It's been a very long time since he did a lot on YouTube, though. But you guys remember Rocket Jump? You remember Freddie Wong from way back when, like 10 years ago on YouTube? I remember watching all these videos, all their special effects stuff. I thought it was so freaking cool. But Freddie Wong is one of the cast members on a podcast. And where is he now? Yes, that's Brennan. But Freddie Wong is one of the cast members on Dungeons and Daddies, and I freaking love the show. Like, it's such a great podcast. It's fantastic. It's fantastic. Like, oh my God. I love it. I love it. This is the DM, I
Started
think.
calling yourself Daddy Magic, and you trademarked the name. And that didn't...
Oh, is this it?
Hi, welcome to Please.
Is this the cast?
Okay, Beth.
Okay. Freddie.
Yeah.
You are one of the most altruistic.
Yeah, this is like part of the cast. Yeah, but Freddie, I love Freddie, dude. I love Freddie. He's great. Did Caleb Hammer make you more conscious of spending on coffee? From out? No, it's always something like I've been painfully aware of. Like, it's something you get into the habit of, and there's something called a process addiction, and this is something I don't think many people realize. You aren't necessarily addicted to the coffee or to the tea or going to McDonald's and getting a fry or whatever. You're not necessarily addicted to that thing that you're getting. You're addicted to the process. You like the feeling of going through the routine of driving through the drive-through, getting handed the nice cup, and even something down to like using the app to scan and get the rewards to go up. It's a process addiction. You're addicted to the routine of it. And for Starbucks, like, that is very much what they're trying to do. They're trying to get you addicted to that process. So part of your routine driving to work is stopping at Starbucks and getting your coffee. You get used to leaving work or leaving your house early to go to work, so you have time to go get coffee on the way. Like, it's all about building that routine and habit and becoming part of your day-to-day routine. And breaking that routine is what's especially hard, because a lot of the time you'll notice, like, you aren't even necessarily drinking the full coffee. You have like an inch or two left in the bottom by the time you're done with it, and then you just kind of move on with the rest of your day, you know? You just move on. But that should be the giveaway that something's wrong. You know, that you don't even really love the coffee that much. You're just addicted to the process of it and the routine of it. And so once we realized that, it was like, okay, we got to figure this out. So we moved on. Yeah. And the Nespresso is great. The quality of the coffee is stupid good. I've been very, very impressed with it, and we've been having a great time with it. So I've been liking it. It's a good excuse to make coffee in the morning too. So now we drink energy drinks. That's the other thing, dude. Red Bull. I've told you guys this before, but I'm not sponsored by Red Bull. I asked them, like, my agent asked them, could we get like the Red Bull fridge and put it in the background of Luke's studio? It'd be great. He loves Red Bull. It would be awesome. And they said, no, we don't currently sponsor any like YouTubers or YouTube streamers, only like Twitch streamers. And even then they were on like a hold on that or something at the time. But they said, so we can't sponsor him, but we're down to send him some Red Bull. I was like, okay. How much? And they're like, well, we usually send like 4 of the big boxes of it. So like, I think each time they send it, it's like $300 worth of Red Bull. And they're like, yeah, and whenever he runs out, just tell him to tell us and we'll send him more.
Sunny_D_Chugger donated $49.99 through Super Chat. What
Thank
are your
you.
thoughts on games going digital and people complaining about it? Personally, don't think it matters much, because the only time physical copies mattered was years ago before they were big.
Oh, it cuts off after a certain number of characters. Because the only time physical copies mattered was years ago before there were big servers and stuff, game preservation. That's a great question. Just finish what I was saying. Yeah, like I'm not sponsored by them, but they send me basically unlimited amounts of Red Bull. And so like if that's not a sponsorship, imagine what a sponsorship is. So yeah, I just have unlimited Red Bull as much as I want. Shout out to Red Bull. It's a problem. It's like an actual problem because I can just have it whenever I want without consequence, and it's an issue. As for problems of game preservation, thank you again, Sonny, for the super chat. Extremely generous. Jesus Christ, $50. Yeah, I'll go call Nikki. We're going to Starbucks. No, I'm kidding. This is Jesus. So I think people complaining, like there's two groups of people. There's the people that are diehard about physical preservation and physical media. I personally prefer physical media. You can see I have all these PS4 games. I have Blu-rays. I'm a guy that still buys Blu-rays because the quality of audio and the visuals is better than the compressed crap you get through streaming services. So I'm that guy, okay? So there's groups like us, and then within that subset are groups of people that not just prefer it, but are like activists. So they actively are pushing for physical media to remain. And then over here, you have a much bigger group of normal people, to be fair, that honestly are just interested in what is convenient and what is easiest for their life and what works best for their lifestyle. And that's not always physical media. Because if you have like, I have a friend who is still playing on like the PS4 generation. And he just was telling me the other day, he's like, I am so pissed, dude. And I was like, why? He's like, because my toddler, he's like I think 2 or 3 year old, likes pressing buttons, and went over and pushed the button on my PS4, took out the disc, and then like threw it across the room and played with it for 5 minutes before I realized what they had done. And the thing is scratched to holy hell, and now I can't play whatever the game was. I was like, oh yeah, that used to be a thing that you'd have to deal with. The disc would get scratched and the game's unplayable now. But like, I haven't had to deal with that. Oh, I almost fell. That would have been funny. Fall over just while sitting in a chair. But like, I haven't had to deal with that in a while because when I'm done with the disc, I put it back in the case. I put the case away and it goes on the shelf. Easy. Nobody's getting it scratched, nothing like that. Lockie, when he comes down here to visit me, he doesn't really go for those. He doesn't really care. Maybe one day he would, but I haven't had to deal with that in many years. But then I was like, oh yeah, that used to be a big problem, was like the disc getting scratched, or like the toddler grabs it or the kid grabs it out. Growing up, I remember my brothers, it drove me crazy. I was too OCD for this, but my brothers, straight up, they would go and get like the game out of the PS2 and they just toss it. They would just toss it out the side and like set it on a stack of all these PS2 games that were just stacked up on top of each other. And it drove me crazy because the games would just get ruined. I was like, the case is right next to the PS2. Take the disc out, put it in the case, close it up, and then grab the game you want to play, open it up, take the disc out, set the case there, and put it in. Not that hard. They could never do it. They could never do it. And they would always just take it out, toss it to the side. It's like, oh, let me take the disc out. And the case is here, and they take it out and they set the disc next to it and let it like shiny side down to get scratched and scraped up on the mat or on the tabletop. Drove me out the wazoo. Like, oh man, it still riles me up. Cause like I would save up for months to be able to buy a game. And then if I happened to forget it in the console, the next time I would come down to the basement where it would be out just sitting on the top. It drove me crazy. Oh, I'm getting mad. Anyway, but yeah, that's like a whole thing. That was a struggle of physical media that largely now has just been forgotten because most people that are moving to digital don't have to experience that. The game just is on your console. So you're trading the benefit of physical ownership, which is that you could take it to GameStop or sell it to your friends secondhand or whatever else you wanted to do. You own that physical copy of the game. You're trading that for the convenience of having it tied to your account, being able to download it, not having to worry about the physical concerns of the disc or anything. You're trading the benefit of the physical media for the convenience of digital media. And overwhelmingly, it seems that the broader gaming public would rather have the convenience than the benefit of the physical ownership. And that's why the entire industry has moved to digital. And it's not because there was some grand scheme or conspiracy or something where they started, like there was a story of I think Walmart was trying to get rid of physical copies of Starfield, and this like made headlines or everything. Because like, did you see they're trying to sell it for 3 cents a piece? Yeah, it's normal for retail where they want to get rid of the old product that's not selling, get it out the door so you can replace that shelf space with something that will sell. It's not, this is not news to anybody, okay? But it is something that I think is important to note. Like, that's how physical media works. Digital media doesn't have to work that way. And like at the end of the day, I would rather physical media remained. I would rather if like the PlayStation 6 still goes to, I would honestly rather they go to like the Nintendo Switch digital card thing. Instantaneous loading. It just works better than the disc, less moving parts, so the console lives longer. It just in general, I think, works better. But they're probably not going to do that. The PS6 is probably going to be all digital. Probably. Honestly, it probably will be. So I think it helps the company because the company saves money on distribution, on physical printing of the discs and stuff. They save money. And then the customer also is benefiting because they get all the convenience, but they lose out on the benefits of physical ownership. And as for like game preservation and stuff like that, that is absolutely a concern. And that's why hopefully there are going to be people that, maybe I shouldn't say that, there might be people who take digital copies of games and preserve them that way for when they're no longer sold. But game preservation is a concern. And it's absolutely a thing that's come up time and time again with like, with certain games like Marvel's Avengers not being able to be purchased anymore. If you want to go buy Marvel's Avengers right now, you can't. It's not listed for sale online. They stopped selling it. And there's other games where that's happened because of licensing issues or this or that. So those games are just kind of lost. It's just lost. Yeah, the preservation is fine as long as they allow offline play. I mean, until a console generation shifts and you can't re-download it. If they clear it from their servers, you're just screwed. There's all sorts of things that come into it. So I think I personally would rather if physical media remained, but I can understand that the broader market that's much bigger than me decided on the whole that they would rather the convenient elements of digital ownership. And that's why the market's changed. So I can throw a fit about it. I can complain on Twitter about it, but nobody really cares. Like, there's going to be a handful of people that agree with me and also want to get mad about it and rage. But at the end of the day, it's just the market's decided. It just is what it is. Unfortunately, it's like, you might have like my grandpa of all people was ranting about this over Christmas. He was like, back when I was young, cars, you'd buy a car. They didn't design cars to crumple when you crash. Because why would you want your car to be totaled every time you got in trouble or your car got in an accident? No, they built trucks and cars like tanks. You could drive that car into a brick wall and it would be fine, but the brick wall would come tumbling down. And I was like, yeah, but you'd also die and whatever you were hitting would be destroyed. So instead they started designing cars to crumple for the benefit of better safety, shock absorption. It has the benefits of also protecting the people that you might have hit in your car. There are benefits to that. It's not like they just decided to design cars like tissue boxes, but like there's a benefit to it. And the mass public decided they wanted to reward the safety elements over the benefit of driving a chunk of steel. And so the market decided. And the great thing about the free market is that if you decide that you want to see something else, if you want to go a different route and you want to just drive a chunk of metal that doesn't really crumple that much when you crash it, the market might still be able to provide that. Granted, it might be super expensive and difficult to get, but the market can adjust and give that to people that want that product. like driving a chunk of steel. Which, by the way, I do have a pre-order for this from 2019 or something. I think I chose at the time, like I was still in college. Okay. So it was a big deal for me to put $100 deposit on it. But I was like, I convinced myself, I was like, I'm investing in myself. This is how I'll motivate myself to make enough money to be able to afford this when it eventually comes out in a year. It was a lot longer than a year, but the version that I like pre-ordered is not going to be available to like the middle or late 2025. Like it's still a long ways off. So who knows if I'll ever actually get a Cybertruck. I don't even know if I want it. What is that? What just happened? Did you see that? Am I crazy or did that just happen? I don't think that was there before. There's like a little creature inside with a visor. Did that happen live? What is happening? If I refresh, I think it goes away. It goes away. What? What? I'm not alone. Okay. I don't... I'm a little... Okay. We're going to wait to see if it happens again. Okay. I'm just going to leave it here. Click on the windows. I tried. I think it just happened after we sat on this page for enough time. Yeah, I'm clicking on it. Nothing's happening. Okay, I'm just going to leave it here. We're going to see if it happens again, okay? Yeah, the email was real. Elon actually was trying to communicate. We're going to leave it here. We'll see if it happens. Yeah, it's the whole thing. Yeah, you got the golden ticket, a free Cybertruck. He's like, you didn't refresh the page, did you? Oh, well, sorry, man. Oh, there he goes again. What is that supposed to be? Select an area. I don't see anybody else with pictures of this. That's throwing me off, dude. Okay. I don't know. Yeah, it's Cybertruck Easter egg, I guess. Yeah. Yeah, for real. Elon's trolling. Yeah, he basically is. Enhance. It looks like a hedgehog or something, or maybe Godzilla, but it's got like a little hand. I don't know, man. That's freaking weird. Do they have any other Easter eggs with it? Not really. Oh, the Cybertruck is in Death Stranding. What do you guys think the odds are that it's going to be in Death Stranding 2? It's got to be in, right? Surely Elon, like, I've never heard him reference Kojima, but he's into video games. Wouldn't surprise me if they put it in. I will say, anybody who's not driven a Tesla, you should go and try to test drive one, because it's freaking cool. They drive like a roller coaster. It's pretty wacky. Okay. I saw one. Ubisoft said, and what he said was by far not as toxic as the media made it. It's statement is very thoughtful, but yeah, when we don't own any of it, even just to download links with some data. Yeah, well, I agree, Sasha. The whole thing with that thing that went viral with Ubisoft's like director of subscriptions, they basically asked him, what would it take for subscription models to become the new main way of getting games? And he just said, oh, we'd have to make it so people are used to not owning their games and then only getting them through subscriptions, which is factually true. Like, but people took it and were like, did you hear what he said? It's like, bro, like, yeah. Sasha, I see it the same way. We have evolved into that. VHS and DVD, stream vinyl, CD, Spotify. The same will happen to games. And that's why I also did not freak out about. Yeah, exactly. Like, there were benefits of DVDs over VHS, but when the move to DVD happened, people started losing their minds and being like, no, you're moving from that Oh, he's back. They're like, you're moving away from all my VHS tapes, and I own all these tapes, and now I'm not going to be able to watch them because they're only selling DVDs now, or DVD players. You can't even play like a VHS in any of these devices anymore. And it's like, yeah, that was kind of the point, is that they were trying to evolve it into something else. I think the Model X is the one that you can play Steam games in. Yeah, it's pretty crazy. And so, like, there was a benefit of it, though, where it was much better quality, and people decided it was worth the upgrade. And then after DVDs, it went to streaming, or I guess technically it went Blu-ray and then streaming. But same with vinyl. There are perks of vinyl, but only, this is the one thing that I would say is different. The only perk of vinyl, and the only reason you should look at getting a vinyl, is because if it's a physical press, it's technically different than a digital reproduction. The problem with a lot of vinyl, though, is that they're just presses of digital copies of songs into the vinyl, and so you're just getting a worse version of the digital song. Like, you're not actually getting anything different. But if it's an old vinyl, if it's a really old record, you can actually get a physical copy and a physical and analog copy of an original recording, and those are very unique, and those are really worth getting because it's technically different than what you'd get digitally. But most vinyl, like if you buy a vinyl in a Target now for $20, you're just getting the digital song basically printed onto vinyl in worse quality, so it's not really the same. But yeah, other than that, yeah, moving to CDs and then to Spotify, or I guess from CDs, it then went to iTunes. You buy them for $1 a piece each song, or you buy the whole album, and then it moved to Spotify and streaming. It was the whole thing. Makes sense. It's the whole thing. I got lots of mint condition vinyl. My Beatles Rubber Soul is worth quite a bit. I believe it, if you can protect them and preserve them. Yeah, it is pretty crazy. Like these Tesla cars, though, they are able to just straight up play Steam games. You just connect, like you pair a Bluetooth controller to it, and when you're parked at a charger or something, you can just play. It's pretty crazy. Like, it's pretty wild. Who would have thought, right? But anyway. Honestly, I think Ubi gets too much hate now. Do you agree, Luke? I think a lot of the hate they get is often justified. Like, they kind of are asking for it, but they also don't get given credit when they deserve it. Like, I think Assassin's Creed Odyssey deserves a lot of credit for what it is. At the same time, I think that a lot of the other stuff they pull deserves some deserves them being called out. Like, I just think for Ubisoft at this point, it's just kind of assumed that if there's something wrong in the industry, you just point to Ubisoft as the example, because they have very recognizable IP, and it's easy enough to do it. And yeah, I think that there's many reasons for it, but I would say, like, they get most of the hate that they deserve. I think it's more that other companies don't get the hate that they deserve. Like the stuff that Take-Two Interactive does, and Nintendo also, the stuff Nintendo does all the time to people is insane. It's just insane. But they get away with it, you know, all the time. Like even just the stuff or even just the stuff that they did with they've been doing with Pokemon has been insane. The fact that they consistently are releasing such broken and consistently worsening products, and their fans will still defend them, is crazy. Like, that's the biggest thing I've noticed from the Palworld thing, is that some of these, like, people that are hyping up the game, or rather bashing the game, as it's being hyped up, they aren't really doing so in good faith. They're doing it almost exclusively because it threatens Pokemon. And I'm like, they're such diehard Pokemon fans that they cannot fathom a world where Pokemon's not on top. And I'm like, guys, they've been screwing you over for a while. Why are you still defending them so hard? It's weird. I liked Starfield, but after seeing reviews, I started to hate it. Baldur's Gate must have embarrassed Bethesda internally. I don't think so. I really don't think so. Because, like, they've said many times they don't look at reviews. Like, Emil Pagliarulo doesn't look at reviews. He doesn't watch YouTube videos that are critical. He doesn't read the Reddit posts that are critical. If it's even semi-critical, he doesn't engage with it. And I think a lot of people within the studio, probably for their own mental health, just don't bother. And I think that that's fair. I think that you shouldn't delve into this stuff too much, because it is bad for your mental health. But still, like, I think that if you want to make the game better and better, you should be willing to look at the more critical stuff and try to learn and grow from it. So, yeah. Luke, need that in-depth 12-hour Palworld review. Yeah, I got to play a lot more of it. I got to play a lot more of it. What I think I'll do, guys, I've got to go and record this video. So I think that's what I'll do. We'll call it here. Last thing to shout out, apparently TJ Gamebox has been tracking it, and DSP is up to spending $1,575 on the latest WWE Champions event, which is insanity. But this is all while he's begging for tips and memberships and contributions and support, which is crazy. But apparently he spent, according to TJ Gamebox's math, just under $1,600 on a mobile game. Just let that settle in. And speaking of contributions, thank you, everybody. I will not be spending your contributions on a mobile game. I will not. And I will not go get coffee with it. Don't worry. I appreciate all of you guys. You guys are wonderful. Thanks for making my dreams a reality. You all are wonderful, brilliant people. I love you all. We'll see you soon. I'll have a video up tomorrow and then another video up Wednesday. We're just popping off with content. I'll tell you what. So much love. Stay safe. I'll see you very, very soon. Hugs and kisses. Bye-bye.
Shout out to the chess club.